And it'll be the battle of the ex-Dodger, Tommy John, against the 1981 Dodgers with Bert Hooton. And Sparky, while we have a moment, I think maybe you ought to bring us up to date. We know that Tommy John, in the last couple of years, the winningest pitcher in the American League. When he was with the Dodgers, we always thought of him as a sinker ball pitcher. Has he changed much now?
Well, he has that super sinker, that he uses, Vinny. And what he does in this ballpark, he goes ahead and pitches right-handers away, lets you hit the ball to the deep part of right center. Left-handers, he just keeps the ball away. He don't let you pull the ball left-handed. Normally, a left-hander won't pull the ball off him, and if he's throwing up ground balls, the first 3 innings that he pitches, he should throw up 6 ground balls for sure. If he is doing that, then we're going to have a good game from Tommy. If they're hitting fly balls early, then Tommy is not going to be the Tommy John he's supposed to be.
Well, we'll find out about the Dodger lineup now. Davy Lopes opening up at second base, followed by Bill Russell at shortstop, and then Dusty Baker hitting third in left field. Steve Garvey in the cleanup spot at first, and Ron Say is at third. Pedro Guerrero will be in right field, and then the Dodgers did a little soul-searching in the clubhouse tonight. In fact, it was quite a while before they finally came up with their starting lineup. And the big decision was whether to play Rick Monday or Kenny Landreau, and they opted for Kenny Landreau. They want Landreau because he gives them a little more speed, not only in the outfield, but also offensively on the base paths. They also think that Landreau might have to bunt in a tough ball game. They'd rather have that than Monday's free swinging. And then, and Sparky, you know this, the last bottom line was, it's a hunch.
Well, it's a hunch, but another thing I think Tommy realizes with Tommy John, he knows him so well. He knows Tommy's not going to allow left-handers to pull him, and he knows the hitter like Monday, he's not going to be able to get a ball inside where he can hit out, so he'd better go and use his speed and have Rick there in case he needs him for Gossage or Davis later on in the game.
And it's one of those interesting things that happens in baseball. Mike Scioscia did the bulk of the catching for the Dodgers, and here they get into the 1981 World Series, and Steve Yeager will work the first 3 games because of the Yankee left-handers.
Yeah, and that young kid, what I seen in the playoffs is the first time I seen him, Vinny, and he's just coming along so fast. I can see why they like this Scioscia.
So it'll be Steve Yeager batting 8th against left-hander Tommy John, and then Bert Hooton. And the last time the Dodgers beat the Yankees at Dodger Stadium was in a Hooton game in 1977. The Dodgers now have lost 5 straight here. Meanwhile, the Yankees defensively, it's Watson, Randolph, Milburn, and Nettles on the infield, Winfield, Mumphrey, and Gamble in the outfield, Cerrone behind the plate, and TJ, as they call him, Tommy John, up on the hill and ready to go to work. Tommy out of Terre Haute, Indiana, makes his first pitch, low and inside, ball 1. Tommy's 38, 6'3", 200-pounder. Pitched with the Dodgers from 1971 through 78. Fastball for a strike. The exception, of course, the 1975 season when he had to have reconstructive elbow surgery. Here's the 1-1 pitch to Davy Lopes, and that's a fastball away, ball 2. Tommy John has won 223 games. Bert Hooton has won 130, and they each have previous World Series experience. The 2-1 sinker is low. Tommy John, pitching against the Yankees with the Dodgers, is 1-1 in World Series. Bert Hooton against the Yankees in those 2 years is 2-2. 3-1 pitch, and Lopes drives it into left center field, but there's Mumphrey to make the catch. However, the first shot out of the barrel is a fly ball.
Well, you know, Vinny, that's not Tommy. You've seen Tommy so many years, and you know him even better than I do. That's not him to pitch up in the letters.
No, we have seen in broadcast games when Tommy John was at his peak with the Dodgers, and he would have something like 20-some-odd ground balls out of the 27 outs.
That's him, Benny, and he better start getting some ground balls in the next few hitters.
Well, Davy Lopes hit the ball fairly hard to center field, so he's 0 for 4 in the series, and here's Bill Russell, who bunts. And it's up along the third base line, foul, 0-1. Now, the Dodgers know him well. The Dodgers always thought the one glaring weakness in Tommy John's pitching ability, he is a poor fielder. Do you feel that way in the American League?
I always felt that the one thing you could do on Tommy is bunt. He's not a poor fielder on balls around the mound. He's got excellent hands. But the one thing you can do, Vinny, is you can bunt him.
And that's why Kenny Landreau is in the lineup, so we might see Landreau bunting as well. So Russell lays one down, but it spills off foul. He went 0 for 3 in yesterday's game. Just the start of game 2. So kind of stretch yourself and get comfortable and let the Yankees and the Dodgers roll around the dirt in Yankee Stadium. Tommy John ready, and the strike 1 pitch is in the dirt. Pitch it bounced out in front of the plate, 1-1. The pitching coach for the New York Yankees, a former Dodger pitcher and a super guy, Clyde King. Branch Rickey once said, that his arm couldn't catch up to his head. He didn't have as much physical ability as mental. Ground ball to the right side. There's Willie Randolph to throw him out. So Russell just tapped the ball as he tried to go the other way. And 2 out, and Dusty Baker coming up.
Number 12.
Just to give you a couple of quick points on history in these two ball clubs. The Yankees, as proud as they are, and well, they should be. They've won 33 pennants, and they've won 22 World Series. The Dodgers have won 17 pennants, and they've won 4 World Series, 2 of the 4 against the Yankees. Dusty Baker takes a strike on the inside corner, 0-1. Baker with Steve Garvey on deck. Bake 1 for 2 last night. He also had a walk and a scoring fly ball. He pulls away in the pitch inside, 1-1. A fellow who at one time in the early days of his career was a captain at the Copacabana nightclub is the plate umpire, Nick Colosi. The 1-1 pitch is hit foul outside of third. Good sinking fastball, and the count 1-2. So Nick Colosi behind the plate. Terry Cooney at first. Doug Harvey at second. Rich Garcia at third. Dick Stello on the left field line, and Larry Barnett on the right field line. TJ into the windup, and the 1-2 pitch is hit to the hole on the right side, plugged up by Randolph, who throws him out. So the Yankees throwing their gloves at the Dodgers last night, and Randolph comes up with a good play now. The Dodgers are gone in order, and at the end of half an inning, Dodgers nothing, Yankees coming up.
There's a man who gives big values on the hardware that you need. And when you need a little help, you know you found a friend indeed. Service Star. Next to the man who owns the store. Service Star. It's the greatest name in hardware. Next to the man who owns the store. Service Star. It's the greatest name in hardware.
When you buy insurance, you're buying more than just a policy. You're paying for service, too. And with State Farm, you get an agent who gives you that service. When you have any questions, you call your State Farm agent. When you have a claim, you report that to your State Farm agent, too. Get a good price on your family insurance and good neighbor service. See the State Farm agent nearest you.
And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Bottom of the first inning, the Dodgers failed to score. Let's take a look at the Yankee lineup. Jerry Mumphrey leading off in center field. Larry Milbourne at shortstop. And Dave Winfield hitting third in left field. Oscar Gamble is in right field, so Reggie Jackson might play Friday night against Fernando Valenzuela in Los Angeles. Oscar Gamble in right. Greg Nettles will be at third. Bob Watson, the hero of last night's game, is at first. Rick Cerrone behind the plate batting seventh. With a right-hander going, Willie Randolph drops to the number 8 slot, and Tommy John batting ninth. Sparky, what do you remember about Bert Hooton?
Oh, I remember Bert. He had a, above average fastball, not overpowering, but he kept the ball down, knew how to pitch, had that great knuckle curve that he called it, just straight down at times. I seen him nights when he was getting it over, Ben, he was unhittable. But now they tell me, Ray Shore was telling me, and I've also talked with you, that he's come up with this excellent changeup. I seen it on TV the other day in the ball game he pitched against Montreal, and there's no question about this guy. He's never smiles. He just acts as if nothing's bothering him. And to me, he is one of the real fine pitchers for the Dodgers for the last 4 or 5 years.
And he is the big reason, I guess, one of the big ones, certainly why they're here. He was 3-0 in postseason play. He won the Most Valuable Player award for his work against Houston and then against Montreal. He's 31 years old, a native of Greenville, Texas, signed with the Cubs in '71 after earning All-American honors at the University of Texas. He was traded to the Dodgers in 1975. That was the year that Tommy John was sidelined with arm surgery. For Bert Hooton, he has pitched on October 14th, October 17th, and now on the 21st, where Tommy John had not pitched since the 13th of October. So Hooton has been working a lot. Whether he's tired remains to be seen. Tommy John, well rested, maybe even too much. We'll see. Jerry Mumphrey will start it off. Mumphrey hitting 1,000, 2 for 2 as a right-handed batter. And Hooton ready and delivers, and it's over for a strike, 0-1. The Dodgers defensively with Hooton and Yeager. Garvey, Lopes, Russell, Say, Baker, Landreau, and Guerrero in right. Now the strike one pitch on the way. Mumphrey takes in the dirt. 1 ball and 1 strike. Sparky was mentioning a moment ago about Bert Hooton never smiled, and his nickname, which was applied by Tommy Lasorda years ago, Happy. The 1-1 pitch on the way, outside and high, ball 2. What happened was, down in the Dominican, Tommy was managing a ball club. Hooton was playing, and it was New Year's Eve, and naturally they had a big New Year's Eve party. Here's the 2-1 pitch to Mumphrey, inside, ball 3. And everybody was having a ball, and there, sitting quietly in the corner, was Bert Hooton playing solitaire. And all Lasorda did was say, look at him, doesn't he look happy? And from that day on, he was Happy Hooton. 3-1 pitch is high, an ominous beginning for Hooton as he walks the leadoff man, Jerry Mumphrey, and the batter will be Larry Milbourne. Over the year, Hooton's high in strikeouts 8 and his high in walks 3, so he has to be right around the plate. The most runs he gave up in a regular game, 5. He had a couple of quick boots. Atlanta got rid of him in the first inning with only 2 outs.
Benny, you'll see. I'd be very surprised if you don't see Mumphrey go in the first couple pitches because they like to run early in the game, and especially on a right-hander.
Hooton out of his stretch. Mumphrey doesn't go, and there's a ground ball down to Russell. He's going to feed Lopes, who goes back to first, not in time. Milbourne beating the throw easily. I'm a little surprised Milbourne went after the first pitch.
I'm very surprised because usually they'll let Mumphrey have first 2 pitches to find out the first one to, see what his move is, and then he'll go on the second one on the right hand. And I'm very surprised that Milbourne didn't give him the opportunity to see him 1 pitch.
So Milbourne, who runs well, is at first with 1 out, and the batter is Dave Winfield. Winfield in last night's game went 0 for 3. The big guy struck out and flied out. He walked and fouled out. So Winfield coming up, 1 out in the first inning. Milbourne runs well. Does that take the knuckle curve a little bit away from Hooton, do you think?
I don't think it does with Yeager. One thing about Yeager I've always admired, he's not worried about throwing a changeup curve, nothing. He believes he can throw people out. He knows he's got a good arm.
The temperature here tonight is 61 degrees, so it's a beautiful evening at Yankee Stadium. Milbourne off first. Hooton a look. Now comes to his hitter, Winfield, and it's swung on and missed. 0-1. The knuckleball seems tough enough. A knuckle curve seems impossible to throw.
It's hard to believe that he can control it the way he does, but that's what's made him an excellent pitcher. He can control his knuckle curve.
0-1, the count to Dave Winfield with Oscar Gamble on deck. 1 away in the first inning, no score. Hooton again set, looks at Milbourne. Checks him again. Now comes to the plate. Winfield pulls his hands out of the way. It's in on top of him. 1 ball and 1 strike. What kind of a man is Winfield as far as American League pitching is concerned? You try and keep the ball down on him?
He hasn't changed anything. He's the same as he was in the National League, except he's moved off the plate a little more over here. Charlie Lyle's got him a little further away. You got to come in deep on him. You have to throw balls to him when you come inside.
1-1, the count to Winfield. Hooton checking. Bert ready. Comes to the plate. A fastball for a strike. A throw down to first, not in time. Is moving the hitter off the plate part of a Charlie Lau trademark? Is that one of the things he does with his hitters?
Charlie likes to get them off the plate. He likes to have them going into the ball. He likes to have them trying to go basically out, straight out. He believes that if you're going straight out to center field with the ball, that you'll use all part of the field, that the ball inside your hands will take care of you, the ball away, you'll hit the left.
1-2, the count to Dave Winfield. 1 out in the first inning, no score. Bert Hooton out of his stretch. Another look at first. Now Happy comes back to the plate low and inside, and a good Toulouse-Lautrec save by Steve Yeager on his knees behind the plate to stop that one. 2-2. Do you have a particular count that you like to turn a runner loose?
I like to run on the pitcher, and Bert's one of those guys, a pretty high leg kicker, comes way back. I like to run on people like that in a breaking ball. I try to guess what their pattern is on breaking balls.
Well, let's see if Milbourne is going at all. Hooton looks over there, checking. He doesn't go. The pitch to Winfield, ground ball to Say. He drops it, picks it up, goes in the dirt to Lopes, just in time to get a 4. So Ron Say had a double play ball. Not only did he miss the double play, he almost missed the out at second base.
Lopes made a great play there, Vinny. Instead of worrying about that runner going to first, Lopes forgot all about it then. He said, I know I won't get 2, and he got right down with that ball and stayed right in there.
Joe Altobelli, the third base coach for the Yankees, hollering out at Doug Harvey, but it was a good call. Altobelli seeing more with his heart than with his eyes. And here is Oscar Gamble. Gamble, who doesn't play too much, but of course he is the DH. But he's in there tonight instead of Piniella and instead of the injured Reggie Jackson. And the only guess on Jackson is a day-to-day proposition that maybe he'll be ready Friday in the warmth of Los Angeles. Last we heard it was in the 90s back there.
This guy, you'll find he hangs right over the plate, Benny.
Hooten, a look over at Winfield, and the pitch to Gamble in there for a strike, 0-1. Do they knock him down in the American League for doing that?
They don't knock him down, Benny. He's just were hooting through there. That ball was on the inside part of the plate for a strike, and he's jumping out of the way because he's over the plate. He could be hit and be out for being over the plate.
0-1, the count to Oscar Gamble. Hooten hands it aside, looks over at Winfield, held on by Garvey. Now Burt at the belt, and the strike one pitch, high and outside, 1-1. I remember Minnie Minoso once saying, home plate belongs to me. They have to kill me first. And that's the way Gamble is up there. But, of course, there are a lot of pitchers who feel that home plate belongs to them. 1-1, the count, Oscar. Hooten ready. Burt delivers, straightens him up. Ball 2, 2-1.
Benny, I got news for you. When the pitcher thinks it belongs to him and the hitter thinks it belongs to him, the hitter's going to lose.
Yeah, I would think. Now, when you see a guy hang over the plate the way he does, you like to bust the ball inside on him?
You have to bust it in. You've got to make him move out of there.
2-1 to Oscar Gamble. The outfield shaded a dab around to right. Hooten ready, comes back to the hitter, and he's high. Ball 3, 3-1. Are there some pitchers in the American League who would really drive him out of there?
They're the same in the American League as in the National League. You have some of those guys that really believe it belongs to them.
Right. 3-1 with 2 down. We'll see if they play run and hit now. Gamble, left-hand hitter, hanging over the plate. Hooten looks at Winfield. Double check. He doesn't go. Off speed, and he missed with it. Ball 4. So with runners at first and second, Hooten has walked 2 men in the first inning. And to repeat, his high in walks all year, only 3 in a game. So he is off his speed. And now here comes the magician, Greg Nettles. Nettles last night hit 3 fly balls to right field. He had a walk, and of course he made 2 dazzling plays, and the biggest one on Steve Garvey late in the game. You were saying before, he's one of the rare left-hand hitters who likes the ball up.
He's a high ball hitter, Benny, and he can get on it. Last night they got away twice on him.
Hooten set, checks the runners, and he's going to have to get the ball down against Greg Nettles. And the first pitch is swung on and missed, and he was a challenging pitch.
Yeah, Burt challenged him up there, but I don't think he's going to try to challenge him too long tonight up there.
0-1, the count to Greg Nettles. Nettles, left-hand hitting third baseman, finds Dave Winfield at second. Oscar Gamble at first with 2 out. No score first inning. Hooten ready, back he comes, and it's fouled away, and he got that ball down a little bit more.
Got it down a little bit more, but I tell you, Greg also loves to hit on that fastball, and they're going with it right now, probably trying to establish to him that set him up, and then he'll get to that breaking stuff later.
0-2, the count to Greg Nettles. I'm Ben Scully, along with Sparky Anderson, from Yankee Stadium, Game 2 of the 1981 World Series. Hooten hands it aside, checking Yeager. Yeager wigwagging a couple of signs out, and Hooten ready. Strike 2 pitch on the way. Nettles waits, and it is high, very high. Ball 1.
Another thing, Benny, I haven't, seen him except on television. He's throwing extremely well tonight. He's got a good fastball.
Can you get Nettles out high by that? I mean, will he chase a bad high ball?
Oh, yes. In and up above the letters, you can get him, but you better have something on it.
1-2, the count to Greg Nettles. Hooten another look, especially at Winfield at second. The right-hander works the plate, and it's fouled back. Bill Russell, the shortstop, trying to bird dog Winfield and cut down his lead, and also with the left-hand batter, the infielder swung around towards first. That's another thought. Does Nettles ever go the other way?
He doesn't hit too many balls. Left center field, he hit once in a while, but basically he's straight up the middle to right field.
1-2 to Greg Nettles. First inning, the Yankees threatening with 2 out. Hooten ready, and the 1-2 pitch is swung on and fouled away, off to the left and out of play. Tomorrow, a travel day. Both ball clubs moving to the West Coast and to Dodger Stadium. Friday night, for only the second time in 78 World Series, you'll have 2 rookies, Fernando Valenzuela and Dave Righetti. What kind of a trivia man are you? When was the other time 2 rookies pitched against each other starting in a World Series? 1-2, the count to Greg Nettles. Hooten at the belt, ready, comes back to his hitter, and it's fouled away. Well, you're right. Boy, can't fool you. In 1950, the Yankees played the Philadelphia Phillies. Who were the rookie pitchers? Bob Miller for Philadelphia, Whitey Ford for the Yankees. Who won? Whitey Ford and the Yankees.
Well, for all those L.A. fans out there, Vinny, I want to tell them they're in for a real treat when they see Righetti. He's just another outstanding young pitcher.
They know the way to San Jose out there, too, and that's where he's from. 1-2 to Greg Nettles. Hooten a look particularly at Winfield. Back to his hitter. Strike 3 called, and Nettles knew it and walked away. Inside part around the knees. So the Yankees lead 2, and at the end of an inning, no score.
A lot of good people work for commercial credit. That's what makes commercial credit work.
We care about people. We're not there just to loan money. We're there to find out the people's needs. It's not a matter of just loaning them money to buy something. It's a matter of loaning them money so that they can have a better way of life.
People with care and confidence. People at Commercial Credit make the difference.
For example, the market values on real estate have really shot up. A house is a great source of financial strength. I know, I'm a homeowner. Borrowing against the equity is just another way of enjoying your home. It's not a bad thing. In fact, with inflation today, it's just another way to cope. And one of the things that we're here for is to help people cope.
People with care and confidence. People at Commercial Credit make the difference.
Homeowner loans not available in Texas, New Mexico, Michigan, and Ohio.
Friends, CBS Radio Sports is the place where you find NFL Monday Night Football. Jack Buck and Hank Stram describe the action. Dick Stockton has top-of-the-game comments. And Brent Musburger has a halftime report. Hear it here. NFL football every Monday night on most of the CBS Radio Network stations. Second inning, no score in the ballgame. Sparky last night, and I know that Tommy John doesn't throw like Ron Guidry, but last night you were talking about the only way to bother Guidry is to make him throw strikes, make him bring the ball up. I assume that Tommy John is a fellow who doesn't like to throw strikes.
Absolutely. You know Tommy. He doesn't want to throw a strike till you make him throw a strike. And another thing you will have to do with Tommy, if you're going to have any success at all, you have to hit him the opposite way. In other words, right-handers have to look to hit him straight away to center, to right center, and then they will pull balls that get inside. But they have to be thinking going that way. Left-handers have to think just the opposite with him. Go to left field. Then if he hangs a ball inside, their hands will take care of it. But you must make Tommy get it up. And he has a super sinker at times. Every now and then he gets an extra good sinker.
Steve Garvey, who was a very dear friend to Tommy John when they were teammates. In fact, last night I noticed Garvey and Tommy John threw their arms around one another out on the field. A public display of affection. And now they go eyeball to eyeball opening up the second inning.
Yeah, and both of them, Tommy wants to get Steve out, and Steve wants to crush one.
And how? Tommy John, another difference from Ron Guidry. Guidry in 21 starts this year did not have a complete game. TJ led the Yankee staff with 7. Breaking ball for a strike to Garvey in the count 0-1. Garvey is the veteran Dodger hitter in World Series competition, 18 games, and he's hit .315. He normally responds very well to pressure, and it figured he'd drill that ball against Gossage last night. He bunts, and charging it is Nettles. Gets a nice hop, throws, got him. Well, now let's keep that in mind tonight. We mentioned when we were giving you the Dodgers starting lineup that Kenny Landreau was going to play because he might bunt. And already we have seen Bill Russell try to bunt. Now Garvey does bunt. So 4 Dodger hitters have come up. 2 of them have bunted. And the batter is Ron Say. And if he bunts, the Hudson River will flow across into the Bronx River. 1 out. Second inning, no score. Say last night went 1 for 4. He had a base hit in the 7th inning. But you remember, he then made the classic mistake of trying to stretch for 2 with his ball club trailing by 4. And Winfield hung him out to dry. Now the 1-0 pitch on the way to Say. Swung on, ground ball wide to third. There is Mr. Nettles to throw him out. Of all the quotes in the aftermath of last night's game, the best quote was Bob Lemon in his own beautiful way. Lemon said, "You'd think they'd learn not to hit the ball to him."
Is there anybody more beautiful than Lem?
He's marvelous.
Lem's describing something. One day he said, "You know something? We got some pretty good players over here." I said, "Lem, that's the understatement." He just laughed.
They asked him about George Steinbrenner. He said, "Hey, it's his boat. I'm just going to take a ride in it." Here's Pedro Guerrero. Tommy John fastball, a high chopper to the left of shortstop. Milbourne takes a big hop and throws him out. So the Dodgers tiptoe through the second inning at the end of an inning and a half. The Dodgers nothing, the Yankees nothing.
The Buick 100% off offer, an event during which the sophisticated, popular Buick Skylark becomes even more attractive, not only to your sense of sight, but to your sense of hearing as well. Just order a Skylark with a special group of options, and you get either designer's accent paint or a Delco AM/FM stereo radio at no extra charge, based on manufacturer's suggested retail price. So all you have to do is decide which you'd appreciate more at 100% off, art or music.
Seems like baseball gloves are the only kind of gloves Wells Lamont doesn't make. You see, Wells Lamont makes quality gloves for work or play or just keeping warm. And right now, there's a glove rush going on. The glove rush of 81 sweepstakes with $10,000 in gold as grand prize. So, stake your claim wherever Wells Lamont gloves are sold.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. Sweepstakes end December 31st, 1981.
Wells Lamont gloves.
The bottom of the second inning, no score in the ball game. 38-year-old Tommy John is going to pitch like a 21-year-old if Dodger hitters do with him what they have done in the second inning. He made the tremendous number of pitches, 5 in the second inning. The Dodgers trying to bunt on him twice, so they have had 6 men come to the plate, 1 fly ball, 2 bunts, and everything on the ground. Bert Hooton getting ready after a scary first inning as far as he was concerned when he walked a couple, but he got out of it by striking out Greg Nettles. Now he'll be pitching to Bob Watson, Rick Cerrone, and Willie Randolph. Watson, of course, unloaded the home run to right center field. I don't ever remember seeing him hit a ball that way until he did it last night.
I never remember Bobby hitting balls out in right field. He used to hit that ball in left center a lot of times in the dome, which was a tremendous shot. I have seen him hit a couple in the dome just dead straight away in center field, which it just takes a tremendous wallop. But Bobby, I never remember him hitting balls to right.
Yeah, it was quite a shock. And, of course, he joined an illustrious list of something like 17 players to homer in the first at-bat in the World Series. So here comes Watson. And Bert Hooton backs off the rubber, waiting for him. As we go into the bottom of the second inning, no score. Watson had a half a dozen home runs during the regular year. Right-hand batter who hurt himself opening day and had a long season because of it. Knuckle curve for a strike and the count 0-1. Bert Hooton trying to keep it going. Boy, he has been magnificent in postseason play for the Dodgers. The pitch to Watson, fastball high and inside.
Really throwing good, Benny. I really like the way Bert's throwing because his ball's alive upstairs. Having a little control problem in the first inning, but he's throwing extremely well.
1-1 to Bob Watson. Rick Cerrone to follow. Hooton comes back to him. Fastball drilled into right center field. Base hit. So he just hit that fastball inside out. So Watson, a single to right center, and that will bring up Rick Cerrone.
Number 10.
Garvey is on the bag. Last night, when Watson walked and again singled, Garvey did not hold him. But with nobody out and Cerrone coming up, Garvey is holding the corner on Watson, and I can't imagine Watson running.
He won't run. The one thing Bobby wouldn't run unless they put on a hit and run. They wouldn't let him just run straight.
I'm surprised Garvey is holding him on at all. Hooton hands it aside, now out of his stretch. A look at first, and the right-hander works the plate, swung on and missed, 0-1. What about Cerrone? What kind of a hitter is he, Spark?
Fastball hitter, high fastball hitter. Would prefer the ball out over the middle. He don't like it dead in on him. He doesn't like the ball down the way. He likes the ball up and over the plate.
Well, he got a knuckle curve in and down, and he swung on it and missed, and the count 0-1. Hooton set, checking Watson. Still checking. Now the strike one pitch, grounded foul outside of third. He tested him with the fastball inside, and Cerrone got around on it.
He likes the fastball. He's got a little power. He doesn't have power to get out in that 387 area, but he has the power to get down in that line.
0-2, the count to Rick Cerrone. Bottom of the second inning, no score. The Dodgers have gone out 6 in a row. The Yankees left 2 in the first inning on walks, and Bob Watson opened up the second with a single to right. So Cerrone with Randolph to follow. Hooton set, Bert ready and delivers, and it's lifted to right field and deep. Guerrero is shallow. He has to go back to get it, and does. Just about on the warning track, and Watson holding at first base. So Cerrone a long out to right field. One away, and Willie Randolph, the batter.
Number 30.
That ball was up, Benny, and he lights the ball up. Bert just got it far enough away from him where he really couldn't get all of it. He didn't get enough of that ball.
Imagine how it must feel for Bert Hooton, who started in the big leagues in Wrigley Field, Chicago, and being allowed to pitch in Yankee Stadium. It must seem like the biggest ballpark in the world to him. Bert ready and delivers, and Randolph takes a strike. Throw to first, not in time. You see what Garvey did? He took the throw and came with the tag in foul ground. You know, Branch Rickey, 30-some-odd years ago, said you will never, ever tag a runner out on that throw if you start the tag in foul territory. With a strike one pitch.
A little hard to come from foul territory and back to fair territory and get anybody, Ben.
The pitch over for a strike in the count 0-2. So if you're standing at first base, like Garvey, you have to bring your glove across your body down into the runner. You can't go and turn into foul ground. You never get the man. 0-2 the count. Hooton again out of his stretch, and they want to move Guerrero back in right field. He was creeping up. Hooton ready and delivers, and the pitch outside, ball one. Lasorda almost came shooting out of the dugout when he saw where Guerrero was. 1-2, so evidently the Dodgers feel that Randolph can hit the ball far enough to right field to back up Guerrero.
He's got some pretty good power at all fields.
Hooton out of a stretch. A look over at first, the 1-2 pitch. He tied him up inside. They check at first. No swing, says Terry Cooney, and the count 2-2. Tommy John on deck. So Randolph backs out, has a look at Joe Altobelli. Mike Farah coaching over at first. One out, second inning, no score. Hooton out of his stretch, another look. Watson a short lead. The 2-2 pitch is poked foul off first down the line and slicing back into the lower deck.
Benny, you think Tommy's been coming out for a little extra hitting lately to get ready?
Well, you know, he didn't hit much. He's a very good golfer. But, of course, if John hits the ball on the ground, he can't run at all.
I tell you, he's probably been working a little extra, taking a little extra BP just to be ready for this one.
2-2, the count to Willie Randolph. Bert Hooton ready. Randolph waiting at the plate, and the 2-2 pitch is a high chopper to third. Say right at the bag, goes to Lopes, and they get a force, and that's all. As Lopes backing off into left field to make sure Watson couldn't get to him. And now, like Guidry last night, Tommy John will swing a bat for the first time since coming over into the American League. 2 down, second inning, no score. The scene will shift to Dodger Stadium Friday night. And Friday, most of these same stations, 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time. Tommy John, left-hand pitcher, right-hand batter, or maybe we should say right-hand swinger, since he hadn't had much of a chance to bat. No score in the second inning. Randolph taking his lead at first. He certainly doesn't figure to be going at all. And a half-swing foul by John 0-1. All managers, I guess, Sparky, hate to start the inning with a pitcher leading off.
Well, it kills you because you almost, a good percentage of the time you've got an automatic out coming up, and you like to see him get out of the inning right here so your leadoff man's coming up.
0-1, the count to Tommy John. Hooton comes back to TJ, and as a ground ball to the right side, Davy Lopes has it, and that will be that. No runs, one hit, a man left. The Yankees have left 3 in the first 2 innings, and at the end of 2, no score.
A portable radio or camera can add to the fun of a sports event or fall outing, but it's no fun discovering you forgot to bring fresh batteries. Hi, Pat Summerall to remind you to check your battery supply now and visit a True Value hardware store for Rayovac heavy-duty supercells. These long-lasting batteries are available in popular sizes to power everything from small calculators to big tape recorders. True Value hardware stores offer AA, C, D, and 9-volt batteries for toys, electronic games, flashlights, and more. Rayovac heavy-duty supercells are made for extra long life, so you'll need fewer replacements. You'll enjoy fall activities even more when you have a camera or radio along. But first, remember to get Rayovac heavy-duty supercells from participating True Value hardware stores and home centers. And get the current edition of my 4-part, full-color, all-time great Sports Stars collection free with any $10 or more purchase while supplies last at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers, where you'll find values in every department.
Friends, here's a good way to start your weekday mornings. check the sports scene with Win Elliott, Jim Kelly, and the Sports World Roundup. It's our earliest network sports broadcast, and both Win and Jim bring you wrap-ups and a rundown on what's to come. So listen here tomorrow morning and every morning on most of the CBS radio network stations. Tommy John tuning up to Rick Cerrone. The bottom three in the Dodger lineup will start it off. Kenny Landreau, followed by Steve Yeager, and then Bert Hooton. As we talked earlier about Kenny Landreau, it is more or less of a hunch, plus the thought that they might be bunting on Tommy John, and we've seen the Dodgers bunt twice. For Landreau, it'll be the first chance to make an appearance. Last night, as a pinch hitter, he lost a base hit batting for Steve Yeager. He grounded out sharply to Willie Randolph, so he's 0 for 1. Did you have success with Landreau?
We had decent success with him, although he did hit the ball pretty good on us. He's a good low ball hitter, and he likes the ball inside. And if you get that ball inside to him, he can hurt you, but he is basically a fastball hitter.
He has 7 home runs, but he hit almost all of them early when he first started over in the National League. He had his average up to about 275 and then really hit the skids. He was down in the 240s, finished up with a little bit of a flurry to get his average to 250. But what I'm really saying is he hasn't been hitting in a long time. So Kenny Landreau, left-hand hitting center fielder. Greg Nettles playing up about even with the bag at third. However, Watson is relatively deep at first, and Tommy John delivers. Breaking ball for a strike, 0-1. The outfield on Landreau, just about straight away, but again, as the Yankees so often do, and as Sparky mentioned last night, they bunch up the middle and give you the lines. The strike one pitch, sidearm breaking ball, over strike 2, 0-2. As Tommy John coming a little bit by way of first base. Landreau waiting. Steve Yeager to follow, and Tommy John strike 2 pitch, breaking ball, a check swing comebacker, and Tommy John throws him out just as nice and easy as you want.
You know, Benny, you get the feeling that Landreau's going to see a few breaking balls off of Tommy. 3 pitches, 3 breaking balls.
And you get the feeling he didn't like it. He looked at 2 and had a check swing on the third one. And the batter is Steve Yeager. Yeager went in last night because Ron Guidry was playing and hit a home run in the 5th inning. He went 1 for 3. Now he's in there tonight against John, and it figures that he'll be catching Friday night against Righetti. He looks at a breaking ball low and inside, ball 1. Do you think it helps a former catcher of a pitcher? Does it help him read that pitcher years later? In other words, Yeager caught John as a Dodger. Would it help him hitting fastball outside?
If they can hit, it will help them. If they can't, it won't.
That's a good idea. Perfect answer. 2-0, the count is Steve Yeager. Went 1 for 4 last night. Tommy John into the windup and delivers fastball. A one-hopper at short. Milbourne doubles up over it and throws him out.
Benny, they will list that as a ground ball, but in all fairness, I don't think that's a ground ball.
Oh, no, and Milbourne's stomach, no doubt, feels it was a line drive. That thing exploded, hit him almost in the belt buckle. And I'm sure his glove saved himself a good deal of pain that time, and then he made a good, accurate throw to Bob Watson. So you have 2 former Astros in the middle of the infield for the Yankees. Larry Milbourne at short and Bob Watson at first. And with 2 down here is Bert Hooton. Hooton is a pretty fair-hitting pitcher, and he's a very good bunter. He takes a fastball for a strike. He doesn't run very well.
Would you get the feeling that's a National League team? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
You
8.
get that feeling. The strike 1 pitch, another fastball, strike 2. 0-2.
You know, the 9 players on the Yankee team right now, 8 of them from the National League.
And you know what they say, it's the best team money can buy. 0-2, the count to Bert Hooton. Tommy John delivers, breaking ball, got him swinging. So 2 fastballs, and then public enemy number 1. 9 in a row retired by Tommy John, and at the end of 2.5 innings, no score.
you. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis.
This is Rob Armstrong, CBS News. In the headlines, Polish officials have banned gatherings in public places in the southern province of Wrocław. It is the first such ban since the independent union Solidarity was born in the summer of 1980. President Reagan says he is going to listen and learn during the summit meeting of rich and poor nations in Cancun, Mexico. On his way to the summit, Mr. Reagan told reporters on Air Force One that the Soviet Union is using gross exaggerations of his positions to drive a wedge between the U.S. and its Western allies. Senator Robert Byrd, the Senate Minority Leader, said today he'll vote against the sale of AWACS reconnaissance planes to Saudi Arabia. That's a major setback for supporters of the sale in the Senate. This is Rob Armstrong, CBS News.
Thank you, Rob Armstrong, and let's pause 5 seconds for stations to identify themselves on the CBS Radio Network.
This is your Chicago Bears station, Sports Radio 78, WBBM Chicago.
Jerry Mumphrey leading off, hitting left-handed, walked in the first inning. Bert Hooton delivers high, ball 1-0. Hooton has made a little bit more than twice as many pitches as Tommy John in the first 2 innings, and actually John in 3 innings has made only 17 pitches. The 1-0 pitch is lined to right, but Guerrero is there to handle it. So Mumphrey, a drive to right, 1 down. Here in the 3rd inning, no score. What do you consider the bottom line for a starting pitcher in the number of pitches? Or does it vary according to each pitcher's strength?
It varies on the pitcher. I remember Seaver, 130 was his limit. Tommy didn't like to go over 130. He would on occasion, but I would say basically around 120.
The batter now is Larry Milbourne, and he has a look at a pitch low, ball 1-0. As Sparky mentioned, the New York Yankees have not only a National League flavor, they're loaded with National League. There's a drive to center, hesitating for a moment as Landreau, and then comes up with a catch. Because when you look at the Yankees, Bob Watson, a National Leaguer, Larry Milbourne, a National Leaguer. You have Dave Winfield in left field, a National Leaguer. Jerry Mumphrey in the National League. Oscar Gamble, a former National Leaguer. And on the mound, Tommy John.
And at second base, Willie Randolph from the Pirates.
So 7 of the 9 Yankees representing the American League come from the National League. And here is Dave Winfield, who hit into a force play in the 1st inning. Hooton's fastball is down and away, ball 1-0. And now some lunatic throws something out on the field, a firecracker of some kind. The one thing that has to be done now, it's one thing to boo, but what has to be done, and it might be occurring right now, the fans in the stand have got to put the finger on the guy who does it. You can't have 50,000 people and 50,000 policemen. It is up to us to police ourselves. 1 ball and no strikes, the count to Dave Winfield. Hooton on the rubber, into the windup, delivers, and a half swing for a strike, and Winfield tied up on that pitch.
Vinny, I understand that the fans pointed out that guy that threw the bottle last night, and they got him, so that's super.
That's the way to do it. The only way to do it. Not to sit there quietly and say, isn't that terrible? 1-1 to Dave Winfield. Hooton ready, comes back on the hands, pop foul off to the left of the plate. Yeager and Say to the Dodger dugout, but it's back in a good 7 or 8 rows, and the count 1-1. It was very touching here at Yankee Stadium to see the Yankee Doodle Dandy, the man who played the life of George M. Cohan in the movies, Jimmy Cagney, throw out the first ball. First ball ceremonies at Dodger Stadium will certainly have a Dodger flavor, just as Joe DiMaggio threw out the first ball last night for the Yankees to start it off. At Dodger Stadium, who else? Sandy Koufax. 1-2, the count to Dave Winfield. 2 out, 3rd inning, no score. Hooton comes back to him, and it's a ground ball to shortstop. One-handed by Russell, picks it up and throws him out. So the Yankees go in order, and at the end of 3, no score.
The following soap opera is made possible by Delco GM Sound Systems.
Tyler, I don't know what to say.
What can you say? You've heard a great car radio.
I just hope nobody sees the car parked in the middle of our new white carpeting.
Well...
I knew it.
The door was open, so we...
Take pretty good care of your car, don't you, Tyler?
We don't always park it here.
No, actually, I like the Delco sound in my new Trans Am better than the stereo in my living room, so...
Have a seat on the sofa, Blair.
No, I'll just sit here on the front seat.
Yeah, I thought Delco made batteries.
They do, but that's a different GM division. Delco Electronics made the first push-button car radio, the first car stereo, and they even made electronic controls for the lunar rover.
Oh, yeah?
If they can do that, they can cope with the car radio.
Well, the important thing is to be able to go into your neighbor's living room, sit down in their car, and communicate.
Okay, where do I get a Delco sound system?
You have to buy a new GM car.
That doesn't give you much of a choice.
What do you mean? You can buy a Chevrolet, Pontiac, Buick, Oldsmobile, Cadillac, or GMC truck. That's a pretty good choice.
We're hauling day and night to get things where they need to be. Moving freight across America, just as easy as P.I.E.
P.I.E., one of America's largest freight carriers, serving locations throughout the country. Check P.I.E. before you ship anywhere. Pacific Intermountain Express, an IU company.
Just as easy as P.I.E. Just as easy as P.I.E.
We're going to the fourth inning here at Yankee Stadium, Game 2 of the 1981 World Series. The Yankees no runs, 1 hit, a single to right by Bob Watson, and the Dodgers no runs, no hits. Tommy John has retired 9 in a row. The Dodgers have tried to bunt on him twice, and now it'll be the second time around with Davy Lopes, Bill Russell, and Dusty Baker. Sparky, if you decide to bunt on a pitcher, is it really understood that you're only going to bunt the first time around, or do you continue to try and bunt on him?
Well, I think that's the thing you keep discussing as the game's going on, because I think the Dodgers will still attempt to bunt on Tommy, but I think what they've done now, they've made sure they've gotten Nettles up. I think now they'll take a round of trying to see if they can pull the ball a little bit off him.
Not only have they got Nettles up now, they have Watson up with Davy Lopes leading off. So they pull up the corners as we go to the fourth inning, no score. Lopes flied to center in the first inning, but everybody else has been on the ground since. Tommy John delivers and missed down and away, ball 1, as he turned that ball over a little bit. 1-0. Tommy has come up with a good changeup this year. He's in the windup, and the 1-0 pitch on the way, swung on and missed, Lopes losing his hat.
I was going to ask you, Vinny, I never remember Davy bunting that much so.
Bad bunter. In fact, if you wanted to put a knock on Lopes because of the fact he's so fast and he's small, you could say he should have made himself a better bunter. But what happened is he hit 28 home runs one year.
I know, and that's why with Watson up at first, I never remember Dave ever pushing the ball towards first.
No, he's not much of a bunter at all. 1-1 to Davy. Tommy John into the windup and delivers. Breaking ball at his feet, ball 2. 2-1.
Nettles is playing up, and then as soon as Tommy starts, he's running way deep. Watch him.
The 2-1 pitch as Nettles backs up. There's a ground ball to the right side. Randolph is right there to handle it. So Lopes taps out. That's 10 in a row retired by Tommy John. And with 1 out, the batter will be Bill Russell.
Shortstop, Bill Russell.
Russell was the first of the Dodgers to try to bunt. The bunt rolled foul, and he swung away and grounded out. So we see now bunt is still on his mind. Watson stays up. Nettles is deep, but Nettles is like a safety man in football, up on the line and dropping back. He's constantly in motion. The pitch is outside to Russell, ball 1.
He did the opposite with Russell. He got back, let Russell see him, and then he crept up when he started the pitch.
Here's the 1-0 pitch on the way. Tommy John delivers. Big chopper over the head of Nettles, backhanded by Milburn, who throws him out. Good play. I can remember Tommy John pitching for the Dodgers against Dave Roberts of San Diego, and I mean the chairs weren't warm and the game was over.
I'll tell you one thing I remember, too. Tommy John, I believe, beat Cincinnati about 9 or 10 times in the years I was over there. We just couldn't beat him.
At the plate now is Dusty Baker with 2 out in the 4th inning. Tommy John's fastball is fouled back, 0-1. All Tommy John has done is retire 11 in a row. And we're in the 4th inning, no score. The shortest Yankee game of the year was 1 hour and 43 minutes against Texas. The shortest Dodger game was 1 hour 48 against Houston. So the Texas clubs make you play fast. The strike 1 pitch inside. Baker pulls away. 1 ball and 1 strike to count.
Benny, I forgot to ask you when you said Koufax going to throw out the first ball. Was he a good pitcher?
Here's the 1-1 pitch on the way. On the outside corner for strike 1 and 2. You know the best compliment I can give about Koufax, really and truly? Every time he pitched, you started to think about maybe a no-hitter. Very early in the game, first, second inning. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Baker. Swung on and missed. The sinker got him, and that's that. A perfect 4 innings for T.J. He's retired 12 in a row, and among others enjoying it at Yankee Stadium, his lovely wife, Sally. And at the end of 3.5 innings, no score.
Arnold Palmer tells us about a television commercial and how people are responding.
Everywhere I go, people are still asking me about the old tractor that I drove in the Pennzoil commercial, and they want to know if it's still running and if we're really using it in Latrobe. And I, of course, tell them that we're using Pennzoil, and with the modern technology involved in Pennzoil, why, I don't think that tractor will ever wear out. That old tractor and I are a little bit alike. We're both still using Pennzoil, and we're both still running.
Arnie knows that Pennzoil is a quality motor oil that keeps up with modern engine needs.
I know that Pennzoil is going to give me the quality and the protection in today's automobiles.
America has asked for Pennzoil since America learned to drive. Pennzoil, he asked for motor oil. Pennzoil.
The next space shuttle mission is scheduled for November 4th, and CBS News will bring you special coverage of this important space mission. There'll be live coverage of the launch and special reports throughout the flight. Hear it here on most of the CBS radio network stations. Bottom of the 4th inning. No score in the ball game. No runs. 1 hit for the Yankees. A single by Watson. Bert Hooton has walked 2, and he has struck out 1. For Tommy John, he has been perfect. He has retired 12 in a row. But you were talking before, Sparky, about a perfect game. I've been lucky I was able to broadcast 2 of them, because I did a Koufax perfect game, and I also did Don Larson's perfect game, 1956, here in Yankee Stadium. So the odds of seeing 2 are staggering, and at least we're looking at almost half of one tonight.
Well, I got half of it because I was sitting in Dodger Stadium the night that you broadcast the Koufax one.
All right. In the 4th, Oscar Gamble hanging over the plate. Hooton into the windup and delivers, and the pitch is high, ball 1. I would think when a fella crowds the plate, he really wants the ball away.
Well, yeah, he likes that ball right over the plate. And I tell you, Hooton's doing a good job on him. He's keeping that ball tight.
The 1-0 pitch on the way is a towering pop fly down the right field line, curling foul. Guerrero and Garvey to the box seat railing, and it's 5 rows in. And the count 1 ball and 1 strike. We mentioned earlier the temperature in New York at the start of the game, 61 degrees. I mean, it's beautiful.
It's a beautiful night, Vinny, and it's a great baseball game when you have a game like this with 2 clubs and you got 1 hit here in the bottom of the 4th.
Bert Hooton and Tommy John, and we're in the bottom of the 4th inning, no score. Gamble, left-hand hitter, in a crouch, kind of peeking out from behind his right shoulder, and he takes that knuckle curve for a strike, and the count 1-2.
I really like the way Hooton's throwing tonight. He's got great command.
And meanwhile, Tommy John's retired 12 in a row.
He's not bad either.
No, he'll do. Hooton ready, and the 1-2 pitch coming up. Pulled foul outside of first and down the line. So it's still 1-2. By the way, last night we were sending along our best wishes and congratulations to Mickey Mantle on his 50th birthday. Tonight, happy birthday to Hall of Famer and Yankee great Whitey Ford, 53 today. Hooton looks into Yeager, into the windup, and the 1-2 pitch is just low and inside, ball 2. By the way, another great name in Yankee and World Series history, celebrating a birthday today, Floyd Bevins. Now the 2-2 pitch on the way is low and outside, ball 3. So Hooton up and down, in and out, and he's gone all the way to Gamble, opening up matters in the 4th inning. Bert walked 2 in the 1st inning, settled down, now going all the way. 3-2 pitch to Oscar Gamble is popped up. Garvey and Lopes. Lopes calling, and he will come in on the grass, still waiting, and makes the catch. So Gamble pops to Lopes, 1 up and 1 away. The batter will be Greg Nettles, who struck out in the 1st inning for Hooton's only strikeout. Hooton's high in strikeouts this year, 8, in a game he lost to his old team, the Chicago Cubs. Tommy John's high of strikeouts, 7 against Toronto way back in April. One out, bottom of the fourth inning, no score. Hooten into the windup and delivers. Nettles fouls it away, and boy, they give him all of center and left center field.
They're playing him exactly the same, and even a little more than they were Gamble. They're just line drives, dead away center field is a triple.
So the Dodgers really opening the door on Nettles. Straight away center and left center field wide open. Strike one pitch to Gregg is poked into left center. Baker's going to have to play it on a bounce. What makes you wonder, too, it was a pitch designed to be hit in that gap, so it had to be a bad pitch from Hooten.
Yeah, I don't like to pitch a man that way if you're going to play him all the way around the way they were. I thought the way they were playing him, they were going to test him on pulling, and I sure wouldn't want to test him on pulling. I like the way they pitched him right there, away.
So Nettles singles to left center. Hit number 2 off Bert Hooten. And with one out, the batter is Bob Watson, who singled to right in the second inning. Hooten, a look over at Nettles, comes to Watson, and he drills it down the left field line. Foul. Low line drive. Hooking foul as soon as it left third base. 0-1. So Greg Nettles slowly walking back to first. Bob Watson from Fremont High in Los Angeles, but there is a difference of opinion. The newspapers reported today that 17 years ago, Tommy Lasorda, when he signed Willie Crawford out of Fremont High, looked at Bob Watson and told him, son, you don't fit the Dodger image. And Watson said, when I hit the home run last night, that's all I thought about. Vengeance is mine. The pitch is outside 1-1. However, Tommy Lasorda read the story and threw the paper down in disgust and said, that's a lie. I never saw Bob Watson. 1-1, the count to Watson. Nettles off first with one out. Hooten ready, delivers, and Bobby hits it inside out the other way, foul down the right field line.
Vinny, the thing I can never understand, how come you never hear about all this until somebody does something?
Yeah, 17 years later.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. They played against the Dodgers all those years, but it took 17 years to hit a home run to bring it up.
You're right. Now, there were two players that we certainly remember. You remember one of them out of Fremont High. One, Willie Crawford, who played for the Dodgers, among others, and the other, Bobby Tolan, who played for you. 1-2. Watson waiting. Hooten, a look over his left shoulder at Nettles, back to Watson, and he fists one foul off to the right behind the plate. Yeager digging to the screen. He'll run out of room. It's back in. So it's still 1-2 to Bob Watson. One away, bottom of the fourth inning. The Dodgers have gone up and down, 12 up and down, a perfect 4 innings for Tommy John. The Yankees have 2 singles. Watson singled, opening up the second inning. And Nettles has singled with one out in the fourth inning. And Watson back up to the plate with Rick Cerrone to follow. Hooten ready, a check of first. Now the 1-2 pitch on the way. Watson a half swing, and at first, no swing, says Terry Cooney. And the count 2 balls, 2 strikes. Lasorda is up on the steps in front of the Dodger dugout. He thought surely Watson had committed himself. It looked like Bobby took a pretty good swing from up here.
All I'll say is, Vinny, I'm glad he didn't hit it because it might have went over that 387 side.
Right. I don't imagine Terry Cooney swung the bat much. 2-2 to Bob Watson.
And I'm also glad Tommy couldn't see a replay right now because we might be missing Tommy.
He might be gone. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Bob Watson. Hooten a check to first. And Nettles bluffs, and there's a high chopper wide at third. Say has it to Lopes, and they get the force, and that's all. With the bluff by Nettles, that meant Russell was on the move. And Watson beat one down into the dirt. And they were able to get the force play with Ron Say moving to his left to handle it, and that'll bring up Rick Cerrone. Cerrone flied to right field in the second inning. The catcher 0 for 1. He hit the ball pretty hard and pretty deep. 2 away in the fourth, no score. Dodgers and Yankees, and of course the big show moves to Los Angeles and to Dodger Stadium Friday. Fernando Valenzuela and Dave Righetti, 2 rookie left-handers tangling. As we mentioned earlier, only the second time rookies going head-to-head in 78 World Series. Hooten delivers, and the pitch is inside, ball 1, 1-0. That'll be Friday from Dodger Stadium, 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time on most of these same stations. Davy Lopes gesturing to Hooten, and Garvey now is off the bag. I don't know why they ever hold the bag on Bob Watson. Here's the 1-0 pitch to Rick Cerrone. Garvey directly behind Watson, and there's a ground ball hit to Russell. Nice easy hops, and he goes to Lopes for the force, and that's it. A base hit and nothing else. And at the end of 4, no score.
I don't care if you jog 5 miles a day or can bench press 200 pounds before breakfast. You're still not in the shape you were at 16. That's why the Levi's jeans that used to be so comfortable might not fit the same anymore. It's not just diet either. It's physiology. Time and nature have rearranged the way your body is distributed. Let's stop a minute. Look, I love to wear Levi's jeans, but I'm bigger in the thighs than I was as a kid. And I like a little higher rise than I used to. So now I get Levi's for men. Like the name says, Levi's for men are cut to fit men. I buy my regular size, but I get just a skosh more room where I need it. Great looking styles, too. There's traditional jeans and plenty of Levi's newer styles. And they're all as comfortable as the old days. Listen, I gotta run. But if you want to get back into Levi's jeans, try Levi's for men and get comfortable again.
What's a really good insurance buy? State Farm believes that when you have the protection you need at a good price, you've got a good start on a real insurance value. But with State Farm, there's a lot more to it than just a low price. An important part of the State Farm insurance value is the dedicated personal service of the State Farm agent, and that's worth plenty. And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
To the 5th inning, and the score is 62-36. Not really. It's no score between the teams. But I'm bringing this up because you as a manager, what does this tell you? In 4 innings, Hooten has made 62 pitches. Tommy John has made only 36 pitches. Now, if you're counting him in the dugout, if you're Lasorda, do you tell the Dodgers, hey, you can't go up there swinging at all those first balls?
Yeah, and you're telling him, look, let's make him throw some strikes. He can throw strikes, but let's make him get the ball up. Let's don't chase anything unless it's from the belt up from here on out for the next 2 innings, and let's see what we can do. And let's go the other way with it.
Because when you realize...
An easy night of it.
The Dodgers started off, I think, psychologically wrong anyway, especially here's Garvey, who opened up the 2nd inning and tried to bunt his way on. Garvey eventually thrown out by Greg Nettles on his bunt, so he'll start the 5th inning. Tommy John into the windup, and the first pitch to Garvey is a ground ball to the left of Milbourne and on through into left center field, and that breaks it. After retiring 12 in a row, it's his close buddy Garvey who breaks it with a single to center. So Garvey is 1 for 2, and the batter will be Ron Cey. Ron Cey, among other things, and you certainly know this, probably has as good an eye of the strike zone as any Dodger hitter. And of all of them, he would be the one allowed to swing 2-0, 3-1.
Very good eye, Minnie, and I don't care what they say, he's exceptionally good high ball hitter.
So Cey waiting. Tommy John looks at Garvey and decides to throw over there. Cey spent countless hours this spring trying to go to right field, and he has done it occasionally. He certainly hasn't mastered it, but he is not just strictly a pull hitter anymore. Tommy John delivers. There's a drive down the right field line. If it stays fair, it's going to go. It goes foul. Well, that was on cue, wasn't it?
Awful, right on perfect. You gotta call all the shots. You're down perfect.
Thanks, Ron. 0-1 to count. So Cey took a shot to right and almost hit the jackpot. He'll come back. No balls, 1 strike. Of course, when he returned to the starting lineup with that bad arm, his first at-bat against Houston was a run-and-hit play, a 3-2 count with Garvey going, and he doubled in the right field corner, and that seemed to get the Dodgers going. So 0-1 to Ron Cey. Tommy John, left foot on the rubber, looks down the barrel to get a sign from Rick Cerrone and works his hitter, and the pitch a little low. 1 ball and 1 strike. Cey checking with Danny Ozark. They could play hit and run just to stay out of the double play. Pedro Guerrero on deck. No score. Top of the 5th inning. 38-year-old Tommy John on the hill.
Excuse me, Benny, it wouldn't surprise me a bit if they started Garvey right here.
Lasorda hates to just stand around, and I guess every manager's the same way. If nothing's happening, make it happen. Throw to first, Garvey back to the bag. That's another thing. How do you consider Tommy John's move to first? Average, below average, above average?
Very below average. Tommy don't have a great move.
The 1-1 pitch. There he goes, and there's a ground ball slowly wide to third. Up with it is Nettles. Throws to first for the out. Good play by Gregg, and down to second, as the Dodgers did play hit and run, goes Steve Garvey.
Well, I tell you, you know Tommy, and like you said, Tommy doesn't like to just sit around. His ball club hasn't been putting any runs on the board as of late, and Tommy's going to force and make things happen, and that's the way he knows right now. When you're not hitting well, you've got to do it, and he's going to do it.
Especially when you have someone who is a disciplined hitter who knows the strike zone, and against a guy who's right around the plate. So here's Pedro Guerrero, grounded to short in the second inning. Guerrero 0 for 4 in the World Series, drew the collar last night. 1 out, top of the fifth, no score. Tommy John's fastball is hit to short. Garvey's coming to third. The throw to Nettles ties up Nettles, gets away from him, and everybody's safe. I think maybe Garvey screened Nettles and Gregg didn't see the throw.
He blocked him off. There's no question about that, Ben.
The throw, I believe, also went just under Garvey's right arm, and as Nettles was upended, the ball spilled a little bit down the third base line. And it will be an error, I believe, charged to Larry Milbourne. So the Dodgers get a big break. It was a bad play by Garvey, trying to come over on a ball hit to the shortstop.
He had him very easy.
Now here is Kenny Landreau, who didn't like curveballs in the third inning. And this time he looks at a fastball for a strike, 0-1. You've seen it. A hitter just suddenly is in chains. In the postseason, Landreau's hitting 150. 0-1 the count. Sinker fouled away. And another thing, when a fella's in a slump, it seems like every time you look up, the count's 0-2.
0-2, and it seems like they're always up with men on, and it seems also they never get a good pitch to hit. He's chasing all bad balls.
So Landreau pressing, got 3 curveballs, looked at 2, checked his swing, and hit back to the box in the third inning. Now he has gotten 2 sinkers, and the count is 0-2. So Garvey is at third. Guerrero at first on the error by Milbourne, the fielder's choice when he tried to get Garvey coming over. 1 out. The strike 2 pitch on the way. Outside, ball 1. The Dodgers, of course, buried last night early when the Yankees led 5-0 and eventually went down 5-3. So they're trying to get out in front just to see what it feels like. Here's the 1-2 pitch, and Landreau looks, and it's just outside and low. A sinker that was just off the black. And the count 2-2. Tough pitch to take.
Very tough.
Landreau runs pretty well, left-hand hitter. The infield for the Yankees back in double play depth. Watson holding the bag on Guerrero. Nettles near the bag at third. John set. The 2-2 pitch. Guerrero goes, and it's fouled away. So trying to avoid the double play, Lasorda turns Guerrero loose, and Landreau with 2 strikes fouled it off. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Do you keep track of your calls in a game so that you don't have the tendency to do the same thing at the same time? Bad time to ask you. The 2-2 pitch is swung on and missed, strike 3. And Landreau, I believe, chased ball 3.
The one thing, Vinny, in all fairness, you don't have to write them down. You have them there, and if you don't, you're going to be in trouble. If you can't remember when you're doing it, what's your pattern? What we do try to do is, I want to learn the catcher's pattern, because him and that pitcher are going to work together, and if they're calling like a breaking ball 2-2, that's when I want to run. Or if he's 2 balls and 1 strike and he's using his changeup, we're going to run then and take a guess. You know, we're going to try to go with what his pattern is.
Because I know there's a manager I know of where scouts say he always runs 2-1, 2 balls, 1 strike, which would be a bad rap to have on anybody.
Well, he'd be in some trouble. He was.
Steve Yeager was robbed of a hit by Milbourne, and Milbourne is deep at short. He's just about on the rim. First and third, 2 out, 5th inning, no score. Tommy John ready, delivers. Yeager fouls it away. Tried to take a sinker into right field and fouled it off. Here in the inning, Garvey singled, took second on a hit-and-run play when Say grounded to third. Garvey reached third as Milburn's throw tied up Gregg Nettles, but Landreau struck out. And the sinker fouled the other way, and the count 0-2. So Tommy John trying to fight his way off the ropes, and this large, predominantly Yankee crowd cheering him to get out of the woods and get home. 0-2. Yeager has not had a good year with the bat, and he will chase bad balls. We'll see what he gets 0-2. Tommy John ready and delivers. And it's a line drive off John's glove. He picks it up, throws to first, throws to Watson. There's a collision, and Yeager is out, and Watson is on his knees. How about that play?
Great play by Tommy John, and also a great play by Bobby Watson.
A line drive off Tommy John's glove. By the time he picked it up, he almost threw wildly, and Watson, in a collision, was still able to tag Yeager. No runs, 1 hit, an error, 2 left. And at the end of 4 1/2, they're warming up at Yankee Stadium. No score.
Hi, Pat Summerall to remind you that the most important tools you buy are the ones you use most often. And Master Mechanic tools from True Value Hardware stores are made to meet rigid standards that assure you of quality performance no matter how often you use them. Like the Master Mechanic 5-piece drop-forged chrome-plated wrench set for just $9.99 that includes popular sizes for car and home repairs. And to store and transport your hand tools, True Value Hardware stores recommend you choose their Master Mechanic 20-inch heavy-gauge steel toolbox for just $12.99. Like all Master Mechanic tools and accessories, the wrench set and toolbox are backed by the promise of satisfaction or a free replacement. And they are available exclusively at participating True Value Hardware stores and home centers. And get the current edition of my 4-part, full-color, all-time great sports stars collection free with any $10 or more purchase while supplies last at participating True Value Hardware stores and home centers.
This broadcast, presented by authority of Major League Baseball, intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the descriptions and accounts of this game without the express written consent of Major League Baseball is prohibited. So a collision at first base with Watson making the tag, and of course, in retrospect, and it would be asking a lot of Yeager, but had Yeager been running with his head up instead of digging for first, he could have slid. There would not have been a collision, and the Dodgers would have had a run.
That would have been a good time for the old Pete Rose head first slide.
However, it is no score. Bottom of the 5th inning. Yeager drilling a line drive, and Tommy John able to knock it down, and then got his man. And it goes back to the point you were making at the start of the game when I mentioned the Dodgers might bunt on Tommy John, and you said yes, but he has good hands on ball hit back at him, and if he didn't have good hands, that ball's up the middle.
That should have been a base hit, Tommy's got real good reactions around the mound. He's just like you said, he just doesn't run good. When you don't run good, you can't get off and cover bunch back.
Willie Randolph, Tommy John, and Jerry Mumphrey in the bottom of the 5th inning, no score. Bert Hooton into the windup and delivers and drops it in there for a strike, 0-1. Hooton has allowed 2 hits, a single to Watson, a single to Nettles. The Dodgers have 1 hit, a single by Garvey. The strike 1 pitch on the way. Low and inside. 1 ball and 1 strike. 310 down the right field line, falling away to 353. 385 up the alleys. 417 to center. 430 to left center. That's the killer area here at Yankee Stadium. Pitch inside, ball 2. 387 behind the left fielder and 312 down the left field line. In other words, it pays to be a left-hand batter here. 2-1 to Willie Randolph. Into the windup goes Hooton, and the fastball is a hot one that gets away from Lopes, and he might have stuck a finger in it, and Guerrero finally picks it up. Too hot for Davy Lopes to handle, and I think he did stick a finger in it. That hurts. And Lopes is giving it that whoa as he walks slowly back towards the bag. So Randolph drilled it, and Russell comes over to make sure that Lopes is able to continue. You know, the horrible thought I had, thank goodness this isn't on AstroTurf. That would have really eaten him up.
If that ball's hit on AstroTurf, a little damp just after a light little sprinkle, Vinny, that ball might have ricocheted off him in the right field seats.
So a hard single by Willie Randolph. One second baseman takes a bite out of the other. And the batter now is Tommy John, and the Dodgers are looking bunt. He was a pretty good bunter in his days with the Dodgers, but of course he hasn't used the bat in so long. We'll see if he remembers how. Hooton out of a stretch, looks at Randolph, and the pitch to TJ, he looks at a strike, 0-1.
Vinny, would you say that's a tough error?
Oh, yeah, did they rule that error? Oh, wow. So give Randolph an error, and of course there are 3 official scorers. It's not just one man's judgment. But that's going to be as tough an error as you'd ever want. Here's the strike one pitch. Tommy John bunts up along the first baseline. Fielded by Hooten, who's going to tag him out. Tommy retreats to the plate. But he sacrifices, just as Ron Guidry did last night in the fourth inning. So National League pitchers who can't bunt should be ashamed of themselves.
Certainly, because those American League guys, they don't do nothing all year, but then when it comes down to the big one here, they can bunt perfect. Yeah, and if they were in the National League, they probably wouldn't be able to
couldn't bunt a lick. Here's Jerry Mumphrey, who walked and flied to right. The official scorers, Red Foley of the Daily News, Chris Mortensen of the Torrance Daily Breeze, Tracy Ringlesby of the Seattle Post-Intelligencer. And they are toughs. They're a hanging jury is what they are. So here is Jerry Mumphrey. And Mumphrey, hitting left-handed, gets up and then backs out. And Willie Randolph at second base. For Randolph, he is the second Yankee to get to second. Winfield got there in the first inning. The pitch to Mumphrey is a high fly ball into relatively shallow left center. Landreau in, plenty of time to get under it and makes the catch. So Mumphrey a fly ball, 2 down.
The shortstop, Larry.
And the batter is Larry Milbourne. Milbourne, switch hitter, batting left-handed, hit into a forced play and fly to center, 0 for 2. Randolph at second base, no score. Bottom of the fifth inning, a magnificent duel between Bert Hooten and Tommy John. John retired the first 12 in a row before Garvey opened up the fifth inning with a single, and then Tommy extricated himself from a tough jam. Hooten looks at Randolph, who has a pretty good lead. Now comes to the hitter, low and inside, ball 1. And, of course, the killer for the Dodgers in the fifth inning was Kenny Landreau striking out. 1 ball and no strikes to count. Hooten, right foot on the rubber. Milbourne waiting with Dave Winfield on deck. Hooten's 1-0 pitch to the plate is low, ball 2, 2-0. Friday night at Dodger Stadium, Fernando Valenzuela and Dave Righetti, the 2 rookie left-handers. Hooten with the count, 2 balls and no strikes, comes to his hitter with a strike, and that makes it 2-1. The Yankees had a couple of walks in the first inning. They had Watson single in the second. They had Nettles single in the fourth, and now an error and a bunt has put a man at second base with 2 out. The 2-1 pitch coming up to Larry Milbourne is swung on and missed. Knuckle curve, 2-2. Yeager handles that pitch very well.
Yeager's an excellent defensive catcher, no question about it.
So Hooten now evening up the count, 2-2, with 2 out, no score, and Willie Randolph at second base. Yeager trying to set a target for him, and the 2-2 pitch on the way. Hooten ready, delivers outside with the fastball. Are there many cheaters in the American League as far as hitters who look back at the catcher?
They're the same. Everything in the American League is exactly as in the National League. I bet you'd have a tie of those cheaters.
3-2, the count to Larry Milbourne. Randolph again taking a good lead at second base, and the Dodgers can't do much about it. Here's the 3-2 pitch to Milbourne. Hooten ready, delivers, and it's a line drive down the left field line, base hit. Here comes Randolph to score. Into second base goes Milbourne. 1-0 Yankees.
You know, Vinny, this Larry Milbourne has really done a tremendous job for the last 6 weeks for this ball club. You lose a shortstop like Bucky Dent, a man of that caliber, but this young fella has just done a tremendous job.
It looked like, hitting left-handed, he kind of uppercutted a high ball, and to call it a line drive would really describe the trajectory. It wasn't hit that hard. It wasn't a whistling line drive, but boy, it sure did the job as he hit it over Say's head and down in the corner. 1-0 New York, and Dave Winfield the batter.
What do they say? Hit him where they eat.
Yeah, well, he sure did. Winfield hit into a forced play, grounded to short, 0 for 2. 1-0 New York in the fifth. Hooten at the belt. Bert ready, delivers. Winfield takes high. Ball 1, 1-0. A run on 3 hits for the Yankees. No runs, 1 hit for the Dodgers. When the Dodgers bat in the 6th inning, they're supposed to have Bert Hooten, then Davy Lopes and Bill Russell. We'll keep an eye on the bullpen in case they're thinking hitter. Winfield waiting. And and Steve Yeager held out his hands telling Hooten don't pitch, and time was called by Nick Colosi. Now the catcher is ready. Winfield gets back in. Hooten another look at Milbourne. Bird ready, and the pitch to Winfield. Swung on and missed. A bluff by Yeager, trying to make Milbourne retreat a little bit. And the count 1-1.
You can't throw any better than Hooten's throwing right now. The whole ball game, he's had an excellent fastball. He's had a real good curveball, and he's just, tonight, I think he's been as good as he's been in his last 4 games.
He has 1 strikeout, so it's not a case of overpowering the hitters. And, of course, now he finds himself trailing 1-0. Bird ready, looks at second, and the 1-1 pitch is very high, up around the chin, ball 2, 2-1. Hooten, in his last game on the 17th, struck out 5. But the game before, he struck out only 2. And he has 1 strikeout tonight. The 2-1 pitch to Dave Winfield. Bird ready, here he comes. Winfield hits a shot, and it eats up Lopes, but he knocks it down, picks it up, throws him out. Do you think they would have called that an error if he didn't get him?
And Lopes is saying right now, why do they hate me?
The next time Lopes goes to second, he'll be wearing a suit of armor. 1 run, 1 hit, and they say 1 error. And at the end of 5, Yankees 1, Dodgers nothing.
To increase a car's fuel efficiency, some cars have undergone drastic reductions in room and comfort.
You're right, sir. It is smaller than last year's model, but let's just say it's our little way of bringing the family closer together.
Buick's Regal Coupe has retained both its luxury and fuel efficiency with an aerodynamic design that helps Regal's 21 EPA estimated MPG. Use estimated MPG for comparisons. Actual mileage may be different. Estimates lower in California. The Regal Coupe.
Wouldn't you really rather have a Buick?
I tell you, it's the best whodunit I've ever seen on television. Killjoy, a special movie presentation on CBS TV. Who killed Joy Morgan? Well, whoever did it keeps it a real mystery. Could be Robert Culp or Nancy Marchand or someone else you'd never suspect, but do. They all had good reasons to kill Joy. It's murder to figure out. I know I didn't do it. Killjoy on CBS TV. Thursday at 9, 8 Central and Mountain. A real whodunit on CBS television.
You know, friends, in 1982, when you're looking for a place to take your family for a fun day that's affordable, think baseball. When you're looking for a unique way to share some time with your family and friends at very reasonable prices, think baseball. When you're looking for clean, wholesome family entertainment that won't break your budget, think baseball. And when you're looking for one of the best family entertainment buys around today, think baseball. Take your family out to the ballpark in 1982 and catch baseball fever. It's worth it. The preceding message furnished by Major League Baseball. The Yankees leading the Dodgers 1-0 and almost cutting Davy Lopes in half in the process. It'll be Bird Hooten, Davy Lopes, and Bill Russell coming up. A note on Tommy John. We told you that he led the Yankee staff in complete games with 7. He had 5 consecutive complete games from the 3rd of September through the 25th of September. But he only won 2 of those games. He ended up the year with 3 consecutive losses, and in those 3 games, you know how many runs the Yankees got him? Uno. 1.
Yeah, Tommy wasn't getting many runs at the end of the year, and I tell you, he was pitching super, though, and that's the thing. He's pitching like tonight, like you've always seen him. This is the way the guy always pitches.
Well, Bird Hooten will start it off. Hooten followed by Lopes and Russell. We mentioned Hooten is a very good bunter, but basically to sacrifice. We don't see him bunting for base hits. He takes a look at a pitch outside, ball 1, 1-0. Tommy John into the windup, the 1-0 pitch. Hooten swings, doesn't get it, 1-1. Nettles in and out. He looks like he's on a wagon there, rolling up inside the bag, then going back to a normal depth, and he's in motion retreating now. And the pitch is on the outside corner for a strike, 1-2. The next one to Bird is waved at and missed, and down he goes. So with 1 out in the 6th inning, and Tommy John leading 1-0. For TJ, that is his 4th strikeout.
You know, Ben, we go back to what put the Yankees ahead. They got the tough break, a tough bounce off of Davy Lopes. They give him an error, but no matter what he's on, they sacrifice him over. Tommy John sacrificed him over. He ended up with a base hit, and they're ahead 1 run.
1-0 Yankees. Here's Davy Lopes, and he looks at a pitch outside, ball 1. Tommy John has been magnificent. He's allowed 1 hit. He has struck out 4. He has not walked a batter. And the 1-0 pitch is a sinker for a strike, 1-1. 38-year-old Tommy John. Since he joined the Yankees in '79, the winningest pitcher in the American League. The pitch is low and inside. Ball 2 to Davy Lopes. Tommy John with the Yankees, 52 wins, 35 defeats. Now the 2-1 pitch on the way. Fastball hit down to third, and that should mean the end of that. The throw by Nettles right on the money. 2 down.
I know, Vinny, you've noticed that with the Yankee pitchers, all of them, they pitch fast. They get the ball, let's go. And I think, truthfully, I've been trying to teach ours. I think everybody should get the ball and let's go. And I think it really helps your fielders when you do that.
You know, it's funny, too, because it used to be the mark of the veteran years ago was the very slow, deliberate workman. The rookie pitcher was always, with the adrenaline pumping, was always in a hurry. But now the scene has changed completely. Tommy John working to Bill Russell, and the pitch is high and outside, ball 1. 1 run, 3 hits for the Yankees. It's ruled an unearned run because Randolph got aboard on that shot that almost took Lopes into right field. The pitch is low, ball 2. And then, of course, Milbourne's double cashed him in. The Dodgers have only 1 hit. You're not going anywhere with that except home. Tommy into the windup, and the 2-0 pitch to Bill Russell is outside and high, ball 3. So TJ, who has not walked a batter, is behind 3-0 to Russell. On deck, Dusty Baker. And certainly it figures Russell is going to be taken all the way, and he is, and looks at a strike. He might even be taking 3-1, although in the Montreal series and late in the Houston series, he was hitting the ball as hard as anybody on the club. And he hits a shot, and it got by Nettles and down the line, believe it or not. Winfield picks it up, and Russell holds with a single.
You know, Vinny, the fans are as shocked up. Maybe they'll start booing him now.
That's right. So Greg Nettles could not make a magnificent play on that one as Russell singles sharply inside third and down the line. He came close, but it just got under his glove. Winfield able to pick it up and get it back in. That is only hit number 2, and the batter is Dusty Baker, who has grounded out and struck out. Baker has 9 home runs during the regular year, but he has not been a long ball threat at all for several months. He looks at a pitch outside, ball 1, 1-0. On deck, Steve Garvey. Tommy John checks Russell, back to the plate, and missed outside. So Baker eyeballing a couple, and Tommy John, after falling behind 3-0 to Russell, gave up a base hit on a 3-1 pitch. Now he's 2-0 to Dusty Baker. Well, he's been around the plate all night, and certainly Baker can get you out in front. So you got to figure he's got the green light if he likes the location. The 2-0 pitch swung on, ground ball foul outside of third and down the line. It must be maddening to you to give a hit sign to somebody 2-0 and 3-1 and then have him go after a bad ball.
Yeah, you know, that's what you have to learn about your hitters, that you're happy to do it, even 3-0, when you have guys that are very selective and getting their ball to hit.
2-1, the count of Dusty Baker. And, of course, the other way is the fella swings at a strike, but it's not in the location where he can really drive it. Baker waiting, 2 out in the 6th, 1-0 Yankees. Tommy John ready, comes to the plate, and it's a big chopper to Nettles. And Gregg goes the short way to Randolph, and they leave Russell. No runs, 1 hit, a man left. At the end of 5.5 innings, the Yankees won, and the Dodgers nothing.
A lot of good people work for commercial credit. That's what makes commercial credit work.
People are basically good, and if you show a concern for them, and you honestly do care, then they're going to tell their friends that when they need a loan, that there is a person down at Commercial Credit that'll take care of them.
People with care and confidence. People at Commercial Credit make a difference.
People come to us, and what they're asking for is not just money. Okay, what they're asking for is a way out of some problem, or a way to get something that they need. We want to give them a loan. So if it's a matter of our time, our service, or giving of ourselves to these people, that's what we're really all about.
People with care and confidence. People at Commercial Credit make a difference.
Now
Now available in Michigan and Ohio.
Hi there, everyone. This is Jack Buck for Hank Stram. Our CBS radio microphones will be at Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh next Monday night. The Houston Oilers will play the Pittsburgh Steelers, those two teams chasing the Cincinnati Bengals. The action commences at 8:50 Eastern Time here on CBS Radio.
The Houston Oilers beat the Pittsburgh Steelers Monday at 8:50 p.m. Eastern Time on many of these CBS Radio Network stations. Hear it here.
Bottom of the sixth inning with the Yankees leading the Dodgers 1-0. I'm Vin Scully along with George Sparky-Anderson, the manager of the Detroit Tigers. For the Dodgers, only 2 hits, and for the Dodgers, really only 1 threat, and that was on the error in the 5th inning. Actually, there were 2 errors. Garvey made the error on the pads, running from second to third, and then Milbourne made the error, perhaps startled to see Garvey trying to come over, and made a bad throw. But then Landreau, who was playing only because of a hunch. It's one of those things I guess the manager has to go crazy with about now. Landreau playing and struck out, and then Yeager hit a shot that went off Tommy John's glove. He threw poorly, wildly to first, but Bob Watson caught it. There was a collision with Yeager. Watson knocked down, held onto the ball, and that's the story. It's 1-0 Yankees as Oscar Gamble fouls a pitch away, 0-1. 1 run, 3 hits for the Yanks. No runs, 2 hits for the Dodgers. And, of course, from here on in, anytime the Dodgers get people on base, you look to the Yankee bullpen, their secret weapon. Gamble fouls another one off.
Well, one good thing about this series, though, this year is that both clubs are using walkie-talkies. See, nobody's getting the advantage.
0-2. Oscar Gamble has walked and popped up. The left-hand hitting right fielder, 0 for 1. Bert Hooton into the windup. The right-hander comes back to the plate, and he's a little bit high. Hooton, in his last couple of outings, pitched exceptionally well to get here. On the 17th, he beat the Expos 7-1, but not allowing any earned runs. The pitch inside, 1-2. In the first game against the Expos, he did not allow an earned run. The pitch of the plate is lifted to center field to Landreau. Kenny moving over to right to left center field to make the catch for the out, 1-1. Now, when you realize that he has gone 5 1/3 innings tonight, and the run is considered unearned, he hasn't allowed a run in over 20-some-odd innings. Earned run, that is.
Well, Benny, Happy's going to have a little talk with his guys and find out, have a vote. Don't you like me, or do you?
Of course, after saying all that, I always remember what they say on Broadway, how'd you come out? And he's losing 1-0 to Tommy John. Greg Nettles takes high and outside, ball 1, 1-0. Nettles struck out in the first inning, single to left in the 4th. Dodger infield playing him around to pull in the outfield that way with that big gap in left center. And the next one in there for a strike. You remember in the 4th inning, the Dodgers have committed themselves to play Nettles to pull, and yet Hooton came with a pitch up and away, and he banged it into left center for a base hit, a rather dangerous play. Now the 1-1 pitch. Hooton delivers, knuckle curve low, ball 2, 2-1. 1 run, 3 hits for the Yankees. No runs, 2 hits for the Dodgers. We're in the bottom of the 6th. Hooton looks into Yeager. Now Happy, as they call him, ready in the 2-1 pitch, and it's swung on and fouled back. 2-2. When the Dodgers bat in the 7th inning, they have Steve Garvey, Ron Cey, and Pedro Guerrero. The Yankees here with Nettles followed by Watson. And Hooton with a new ball trying to rub a wrinkle in it. Gregg back up to the plate. Hooton studying. Now Bert into the windup, and the 2-2 pitch is swung on, a high fly ball to right field, but it's playable. And waiting for it to come down out of the New York night is Pedro Guerrero. So in 2 games, Nettles has hit 4 towering fly balls to right field, but he's been unable to get it out. How much did he miss that by?
About 1/16th of a quarter of an inch.
So with 2 out in the 6th inning, Greg Nettles just hit under that, a lazy fly ball to right field. And the batter is Bob Watson. Single to right, hit into a force play, 1 for 2. When Watson was driven to his knees in the collision with Steve Yeager, he got up and started to walk to a neutral corner towards the outfield. They had to grab him and turn him around. He was really stunned.
Well, he knocked his glasses all the way off, too, and probably couldn't see too well without them.
Bobby fouls it away, and the count 0-1. Watson 1 for 2. Hooten delivers, and there's a ground ball to the hole. Back to get it is Russell from the grass. Throws, got him on a fine play by Bill Russell. So Watson grounding to the hole, and you know, for good measure, he almost stumbled, I think, when he hit the bag at first. At the end of 6, Yankees 1, Dodgers nothing.
Weekends can happen anytime. Weekends are just a frame of mind. So go ahead and pour that smooth and mellow beer. It's Michelob. All we blind is beer belongs. Put a little weekend in your Put a little weekend in your Don't wait to have a Michelob. Put a little weekend in your week. Go ahead, enjoy that smooth and mellow beer. It's Michelob. Put a little weekend in your Put a little weekend in your
Yeah. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
As we go to the 7th inning, the Yankees leading the Dodgers 1-0. 1 run, 3 hits. And the Dodgers no runs, 2 hits. In pitching, remember earlier we were giving you the score on pitches. Tommy John has increased his number of pitches. He has made 50 pitches in the last 3 innings after making only 17 pitches in the first 3. Hooten, meanwhile, has just gone across the 90 mark as far as pitches. So both of them really are doing very well as far as the number of pitches made, I would think, Spark.
Yeah, well, Hoot's going to throw many more pitches than Tommy, of course, because Tommy's throwing a little sinker and wanting them to hit the ball, wanting them to hit the ball. Where Hoot, he tries to pitch in and out, and he's going to stay up with some, and they're going to foul balls off on him.
Steve Garvey, Ron Say, and Pedro Guerrero will start it off in the 7th. The Dodgers had their first 12 men retired in order, and then Garvey broke the spell with a single, reached third, but stayed there with 1 out as Landro struck out, and then Yeager hit the shot that Tommy John knocked down and made the out. So here is Garvey. Tried to bunt and was thrown out, singled in the 5th, and I would think now, this stage of the game, he can't think bunt. He's got to go up there and try and muscle one.
Well, Nettles has given him all the room he wants if he wants to bunt. Nettles is thinking the same thing you are. He's got to try to get a double or get him in the ball game with a home run.
Tommy John into the windup, and the pitch to Garvey is just outside, ball 1. Tommy John has had magnificent carole. He has not walked anybody, struck out 4, and allowed 2 hits. The 1-0 pitch to Garvey is a fastball whacked into left field for a base hit. Winfield over to get it, goes to his right knee to make sure it doesn't go through. So Garvey goes 2 for 3. Let's pause 5 seconds for stations to identify themselves on the CBS radio network.
This is WBBM Chicago.
The batter is Ron Say. He grounded to third twice, but remember, the second time in the 5th inning, the Dodgers were playing a little hit and run. Down in the Dodger bullpen, left-hander Steve Howe begins to loosen up. And Say, after a long look at Danny Ozark, gets in and then backs out and takes another look. Garvey held on by Watson at first. And they're moving around in the Yankee bullpen. In a moment, there'll be somebody up down there, way back in left center field. 1-0 Yankees in the 7th inning. Tommy John looks to Rick Cerrone as Garvey takes his lead. TJ to the plate, and it's a little high and outside, ball 1. And again, Say checking with Danny Ozark. Ron back up again. Garvey, not a big lead. And Tommy John still decides you better go over there. Ron Davis, who appeared briefly last night, remember, and was wild and walked a couple of batters. He gets up in the Yankee pen. The 1-0 pitch to Say is a slicing fly ball to right field. Gamble going back to the track and makes the catch about 5 feet shy of the wall. And Garvey back to first base. So that's the second time tonight Say has gone deep the other way, but he's come up empty.
He's trying, like you said, Vinny, he's trying to go the other way with him. He just missed him like Nettles missed Hooten.
So with one out, Garvey is still at first base, and the batter is Pedro Guerrero. Guerrero grounded to short twice. The second time, when Garvey tried to go to third, is when Milburn made the poor throw and got the error. Garvey standing at first with one out, seventh inning. Yankees 1, Dodgers nothing. Guerrero is another kid who had a great year until the last 3 weeks of the season and then really came to a screeching halt. He looks at a strike. 0-1. Pedro, of course, is a young free swinger. During the Montreal series, in 5 games, he hit into 5 double plays.
But he's strong, Vinny, and he can make this game 2-1 real quick in one swing.
0-1, the count to Pedro Guerrero. On deck is Kenny Landreau. Tommy John at the belt. Looks at Garvey, works the hitter, and there's a line drive, one-handed by Milburn. No play at first.
You know, in all fairness to the Dodgers the first 2 nights, and I'm not, in any way taking sides, but last night they had 2 great plays by Nettles, 2 great plays by Randolph. Tonight they had the great play by Tommy John that Yeager hit. Now the ball that Guerrero hits, they really haven't had any breaks.
It must be kind of discouraging in the dugout when you're hitting line drives either at people or they're making great plays. You start to wonder, hey, aren't any of them going to go through?
You know, you're down 1-0, and you've hit some balls real good and not killing the ball, but they've had a couple balls they could very easily have a run.
Well, here's a fellow who really has to be pressing, Kenny Landreau. Tommy John checking Garvey, comes to Landreau low and outside, ball 1. Landreau, on a check swing, hit back to the box in the 3rd inning and then had the big opportunity with runners at first and third and 1 out. The Dodgers hoping for at least a fly ball, and he struck out. He swings and hits one foul off third, down the line, out of play, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. We're in the 7th inning. The Yankees 1, the Dodgers nothing. Left-hander Steve Howe in the Dodger bullpen. Ron Davis, the big right-hander, throwing in the Yankee bullpen. Nettles plays up near the bag at third. Steve Yeager is on deck. Tommy John out of a stretch. Another look and then a throw to first, and Garvey walks back to the bag. Fernando Valenzuela and Dave Righetti, Friday night at Dodger Stadium, 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time on most of these stations. Another throw to first, but Garvey back on the bag. He's not going anywhere with 2 out. Watson holding a corner on him, so the right side of the infield is open. But, of course, for a left-hander, it's tough to pull Tommy anyway. The 1-1 pitch is foul back onto the screen below us, and the count 1-2. Landreau jammed on that pitch.
Yeah, he's not getting good pitches to hit either, Ben. He's chasing a lot of bad balls, and he's faced John enough over here in the American League to know him.
1-2, the count to Kenny Landreau. And Tommy John goes on the grass behind the mound, just letting Landreau hang up there at the plate. Now Tommy up on top. 1-2. Tommy John set. The left-hander deal, swung on and lined to left, but here comes Winfield to make the catch.
Defensively, they're just playing outstanding, Ben.
No run, 1 hit, and of course the fly ball from Landreau came too late.
Too late. That should have come back a couple innings ago.
And at the end of 6 1/2, the Yankees won and the Dodgers nothing.
Son, don't ever give up anything you don't have to.
Words of wisdom from my dear old Dad. And with those words in mind, I bought a Buick LeSabre. Dad thought it was really a smart move.
You're getting more like your old man every day, boy.
And I couldn't have agreed with him more. Because LeSabre gave me the room and the luxury I might have had to sacrifice in some small cars. Plus standard features like automatic transmission and power steering. So talk to my dad about a LeSabre today. Or see your Buick dealer.
Would you really rather have a Buick?
Here's great news. Stuart Warner has a new gas treatment that helps you get better mileage for less money. New Alamite CD2 Super Concentrated Gas Treatment. Each 12-ounce bottle of Super Concentrate treats 80 gallons, enough to treat 4 or more tankfuls for far less money per treatment than any other gas additive. So save money next time you get an additive with new CD2 Super Concentrated Gas Treatment. It really works.
This is John Bohannon, CBS News. A concrete floor collapsed tonight during a dinner at a church hall in Ainsworth, Nebraska. About 200 people fell into the basement. Officials say 2 were critically hurt. Poland's official news agency says the government has banned gatherings in public places throughout the country's southwest province of Wrocław. President Reagan is in Cancun, Mexico for the 22-nation economic summit. He says he has a message for poor nations. The road to prosperity is lighted by economic freedom and individual incentives. The Reagan administration got a setback today in its plan to sell AWACS planes to Saudi Arabia. The Democrats' leader in the Senate, Robert Byrd, said he'd vote no. John Bohannon, CBS News.
Thank you, John Bohannon, and we move into the bottom of the 7th inning. Yankees 1, Dodgers nothing. Sparky, 2 things. In looking at the 7th inning, Garvey singled, Say a long out, Guerrero lined to short, Landro lined to left, and now suddenly in the Yankee bullpen, Goose Gossage has begun to throw. Do you think he's throwing in earnest?
I think if he throws after they've got 1 out on him, in other words, the Yankees get a man out, he keeps throwing, I think, yeah, he's coming in the 8th inning.
All right, Rick Cerrone will start it off. Bert Hooton in the bottom of the 7th, trailing 1-0, and he's high and inside, ball 1. For Hooton, this is his last inning, unless Yeager could come up and hit one out. And Steve Howe has been throwing in the bullpen, and he's going to get company. Dave Stewart. The pitch is low, so he's behind 2-0 to Rick Cerrone. Cerrone flied to right, hit into a force play. Cerrone right-hand hitting catcher. And Hooton backs off as Cerrone backs out. Bert Hooton has allowed 1 run, 3 hits, walked 2, struck out 1. Lopes unable to handle a hot one off the bat of Willie Randolph for an error, and that was cashed in. The pitch at the plate is low, ball 3. Hooton, and we mentioned this earlier, in his last 3 games has gone 7. And prior to that, he's gone 5. And he could be a little tired. The 3-0 pitch is taken for a strike. Loosening up, among others, in the Yankee dugout, Reggie Jackson was swinging a bat. So they might be thinking hitter. Bobby Mercer moving around down there, and the pitch is low, ball 4.
No question now, Benny, is the case now. They're in the bottom of the 7th. They got the Goose warming up, and he's going to come in because he's still throwing down there. They're going to go ahead. They'll bunt him over and send up a pinch hitter.
And Bobby Mercer comes out on deck. So Willie Randolph with Cerrone at first and nobody out. And Mercer on deck to hit for John and the Goose, who had a shaky appearance last night but got away with it. Gossage will come right back in tonight, and he will be asked to pitch 2 innings. Yankees 1, Dodgers nothing, bottom of the 7th. Hooton out of a stretch. Say plays up, looking bunt. And the pitch to Randolph. Hooton delivers, Randolph bunting, but instead takes low. Ball 1, 1-0. One nothing Yankees. That sounds like a World Series game.
Yeah, that is World Series. It sounds like a Dodger-Yankee World Series.
Sure does. 1-0 to Willie Randolph. Again, Cerrone off the bag at first. Hooton comes back to his hitter very high. Ball 2. 2-0. Now Randolph has a look down at Joe Altobelli. That's the one thing that's amazing, how sometimes managers are conned into doing just what they don't want to do because of the count.
The count sometimes, but I think in a situation like this, Benny, when you get late, they're not conned because they say, hey, we're going to get that 1 run.
Here's the 2-0 pitch to Willie Randolph. Hooton ready, delivers, Randolph takes high, ball 3. So Hooton, in trying to get the ball up so that Randolph will have trouble getting it down, has instead missed the strike zone 3 times. 3-0. Nobody out. Bottom of the 7th, Yankees leading 1-0. Cerrone held on by Garvey. And the 3-0 pitch to Willie Randolph. Hooton delivers, and it's low. So consecutive walks to Cerrone and Randolph. And that second walk was exactly 100 pitches for Bert Hooton. And Yeager going out to the mound. Now Bobby Mercer is coming up. And we'll see whether Tommy Lasorda goes to his bullpen or not, and Mercer getting a standing ovation.
This makes it so tough on Tommy Lasorda because they're going to give you an out. and Burt couldn't get the ball over. He has an out if they sacrifice. They got a man on second, one out. But now Tommy's in a position if they sacrifice. Now they're second and third. Now what does he do out of his bullpen? It makes it awful tough on the manager.
Now, are you thinking bunt from Mercer?
I'm thinking bunt because, again, they want to get that one more run. They've got the big guy down in the bullpen. There's no question in my mind, and I'm not going to start second-guessing or doing it, but they're going to bunt here and try to get that man in scoring position. Lem knows he's got the big guy down in the pen.
All right, Bobby Mercer is huddling with Joe Altobelli. Tommy Lasorda is talking to Bert Hooton. And let's see. Remember, according to baseball rules, of course, the offense has the edge here because a pitcher, if brought in, must pitch to one man, while Lemon doesn't have to force to use Bobby Mercer. He can always hit for Mercer. And they're going to go to the bullpen for Steve Howe. So Bobby Mercer batting for Tommy John with nobody out in the seventh inning. And Bert Hooton, another tremendous performance for him. He has just turned in some magnificent jobs since the 19th of September. It's been a grind of over a month for Hooton, and he got the Dodgers here. But now in the seventh inning, pitching under a strain where the Dodgers couldn't get him a run, he finally walks two and has to come out. So they will motor Steve Howe in from the bullpen. And while the new pitcher, Howe, is warming up, let's pause for this.
Sports lovers, turn us on, because CBS has the most exciting sports programming in radio. Regular sportscasts with Win Elliott, Jim Kelly, Kurt Gowdy, Lynn Berman, Bill Schweitzer, Howard David, and me, Brent Musburger. Special live coverage of the big ones: NFL football, baseball's All-Star Game, the World Series, U.S. Open tennis, Masters golf. And you're in the right spot for all the local sports news, too. So sports lovers, turn us on and hear it here.
Down in the Dodger bullpen, Steve Howe is still throwing because the Dodgers have brought in another left-hander, Terry Forster, instead. So Forster, who was almost finished after having arm surgery, but has come back nicely, and he basically is going to pitch to one or two batters. That's the idea, while Howe could go several innings. So they've gone to Terry Forster. Remember when he threw almost as hard as Gossett?
Oh, I remember him, boy, when they were both at White Sox before they even went to Pittsburgh, Vinny, and I seen him at 19 years old. He is the best-looking 19-year-old pitcher I ever seen.
For Terry Forster, not only did he have a great fastball, but he had a mean, hard slider. He threw that thing almost as the fastball.
He had that very hard slider, and when they were both over at Pittsburgh, they'd send that Gossett in there for two right-handers, and the left-hander would come up, in had come Forster. And it was, you know, guys like that, they just stop everything immediately. You know, you think you got a rally going, and you look up, and here they come. It's all over.
Well, Terry had arm surgery, and the operation on Forster's elbow done by Dr. Frank Jobe, the same man, the miracle man who put Tommy John together back in 1975. And now Terry Forster coming in. The difference is they had told Forster, look, we've performed a successful operation, but you better not throw that slider anymore because you'll tear your elbow to pieces. So Forster said, okay, and he threw fastballs. But he's such a competitor, he finally said, I can't stand this, just standing out here throwing one pitch. I'm going to throw sliders, and if it explodes the arm, well, then that'll be the end of my career, and that's that. So he could be throwing sliders as well tonight. Bobby Mercer, the batter. Mercer, coming off the bench, was very successful as a pinch hitter this year. He hit 3 home runs, but he's up there now looking bunt, I believe. Forster ready, and Bobby is around to bunt, and bunts it to Forster, and he has to go to Garvey just in time.
You know, Ben, what we've seen so far in the first two ball games has been a case of great defensive play and great execution by the Yankees. They have executed everything they have tried to do. The Dodgers had first and third when Landreau up and one out. Didn't execute. The Yankees get a bunt situation. They've done it perfect.
Now, let me ask you, would you rather have Mumphrey hitting left-handed or right-handed if you're playing against him?
If I'm playing against him, I'd rather have him hitting left-handed. He doesn't have as much power. Right-handed, he's got a little more power.
Well, they're going to put him on. So in a moment, the bases will be loaded. And Larry Milbourne will be the batter. So Forster giving the intentional walk. That's the third walk in the inning. Meanwhile, in the Yankee dugout, Reggie Jackson walks from the far corner to the near corner, hollering something up to Larry Milbourne. And Milbourne is a switch hitter, and he'll be batting right-handed. What about Milbourne? The same question.
Well, Milbourne has a little more power right-handed, but he's a better hitter left-handed. He makes better contact. He'll strike out on a lot of breaking stuff off of left-handed pitching.
And, of course, the Dodgers trying to get him to bat right-handed, taking the steps to first base away from him, hoping to neutralize him with a force of the plate or maybe even luck out and get a double play.
Well, what they'll try to do here, they're hoping that Milbourne hits a ground ball, the Yankees, and not a hard one, because you can't double him up if you don't hit a hard one.
Milbourne hit into a force play and fly to center, but then in the 5th inning, hit one over Say's head for a double and the only run of the game, knocking in Willie Randolph. Forster from a stretch. Terry deals, fastball, a high chopper to Russell. He goes to Lopes at 1. Back to Garvey, double play.
Just what the Yankees didn't want.
So Terry Forster does a great job getting Mercer's bunt and getting him, walking Mumphrey intentionally, and then getting Milbourne to hit into a double play. And the Yankees come up empty, leaving 2. At the end of 7, Yankees 1, Dodgers nothing.
Hi, Pat Summerall to remind you that the most important tools you buy are the ones you use most often. And Master Mechanic tools from True Value hardware stores are made to meet rigid standards that assure you of quality performance no matter how often you use them. Like their Master Mechanic 4-piece screwdriver set for just $6.99. This quality set features 3 slotted tips and 1 Phillips, all of durable chrome vanadium steel. And for improved cutting performance from your circular saw, replace the worn blade with the long-wearing Master Mechanic 7¼ inch carbide-tipped circular saw blade for just $7.49 at True Value hardware stores. Like all Master Mechanic tools, they're backed by the promise of satisfaction or a free replacement, and they're available exclusively at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers. And get the current edition of my 4-part, full-color, all-time great Sports Stars collection free with any $10 or more purchase while supplies last at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers, where you'll find values in every department.
At Yankee Stadium in New York, I'm Vin Scully along with George Sparky-Anderson. The Yankees lead 1-0 as we go to the 8th, and the Goose is here again. Goose Gossage, and what a note of irony. Terry Forster and Goose Gossage, teammates in 2 cities, now against each other here in the waning moments of Game 2.
Well, Forster just did a great job. He did everything that Tom Lasorda could expect from him and did just exactly what he wanted him to do. They did get the sacrifice off him, which I'm sure Tommy was hoping he wouldn't, but he got the sacrifice. Then they walked Mumphrey, and then he got the perfect thing, the double play. You can't ask for no more than to get 2 outs on 1 pitch.
Jay Johnstone will come off the Dodger bench and bat for Steve Yeager. And, of course, Johnstone in last night's game hit for Russell and singled to right against Gossage to drive in a run. So Johnstone 1 for 1. The paid attendance tonight, a little bit more, 35 more than last night, 56,505.
Your attention, please. Ladies and
So here's the announcement on Jay Johnstone, 1 for 1 as a pinch hitter in the series. Jay had 3 home runs during the regular season as a pinch hitter, but he is basically a line drive hitter. Darrell Thomas is coming out to bat for Terry Forster. So Johnstone at the plate, Gossage, fastball, and as a drive to right field, going back on the ball is Gamble, makes the catch on the track.
You know, Johnstone, he pulled him very well last night. He pulled him again tonight very well. So Gossage is not throwing the ball by these Dodger hitters.
So Guerrero in the 7th inning lined to short, and Landreau lined to left. Now that Johnstone has lined out deep to right, they'll switch. Darrell Thomas and Reggie Smith comes out on deck. And had Johnstone gotten aboard, Thomas was coming up. But now that Johnstone hits that long out, it'll be Reggie Smith, and Lasorda, of course, is just hoping to blunder into a run. They can't do anything here.
Well, all Tommy's trying to do is to get somebody up there that can reach the fence right now. They, you know, you only got 5 more outs to go. You don't have time to sit around and look for base on balls.
So Reggie Smith coming up to bat. Reggie did not appear in last night's game. So Smitty hitting left-handed, and Gossage checks in with Rick Cerrone. The right-hander ready, delivers. Fastball, foul back to the screen, and the count 0-1. And a frisbee comes out on the field, so timeout while they retrieve it. 1-0 Yankees. In the 5th inning, Willie Randolph hit a shot that got away from Lopes, and I mean he ripped it, and then Milbourne doubled him home, and that's the story. The strike one fastball, a broken bat, and a line drive single to right. So the Dodgers pull Gossage. They hit him pretty hard. And Reggie Smith a single to right, and once again the tying run is aboard. We'll see about a runner for Reggie, and it'll be Steve Sachs. So young Steve Sachs, who appeared as a pinch hitter last night, appears as a pinch runner today. Well, you got to be strong to break your bat in half and still muscle a pretty good line drive to right field.
And he hit a very good line drive, and they haven't had any problems of getting the head out there on that head of that bat out there on that ball. They haven't been behind him at all.
Rick Monday will now come up and be the third consecutive Dodger pinch hitter. Johnstone followed by Smith, and now Monday. As Lastorta, hoping somewhere, somehow, one of his hitters will hit a line drive that won't find the glove of a Yankee.
Rick Monday.
Monday, in last night's game, went 0 for 4. And against Gossage, struck out in the 9th inning. Monday last night, by the way, struck out 3 times. He usually pays the bill for that free swing of his. Gossage leaning in to get a sign from Cerrone. Sachs off the bag at first, held on by Bob Watson. Gossage delivers. Fastball, foul back, so they're coming off the bench swinging.
They're coming off the bench swinging, Benny, and really they're not getting fooled at all. It don't seem like they're having any problem of getting out there.
0-1 the count. If you're thinking about Monday coming off the bench and hitting a home run, in almost 47 innings, Gossage has allowed 2 this year. 0-1 the count to Rick Monday. Rick Cerrone wigwagging a couple of signs out to the mound. The chances are very good fastball, huh?
Fastball. He's going to stay with his fastball.
And the heater is swung on and missed, and the count 0-2. On deck, Bill Russell. So the Dodgers had first and third in the 5th inning and couldn't get the run home. And they have been sputtering ever since. And now suddenly they're running out of time and outs. We're in the 8th. 1 out. Sachs at first. 1-0 Yankees. Gossage leaning on the left knee. And the chant from the fans, goose, goose, and Gossage straightens up, looks over at Sachs, fastball outside, and he stumbled in his follow-through. I think he was actually trying to throw too hard.
Yeah, he tried to throw too hard, and like you said, that spike just hung up on him, and he didn't have too much on that fastball.
1-2, the count to Rick Monday. Monday, the hero against Montreal with the dramatic 9th inning home run over the center field fence. Up there now with the count 1-2. Gossage ready, looks at Sachs, right-handed deal, swung on and missed. So Monday, in 2 games, has now struck out 4 times in 5 at-bats in the World Series. It's amazing how you can ride the elevator 1 minute a hero and the next minute who?
Yeah, but I'll tell you one thing, Vinny, that one he hit in Montreal has got them all here, so that was a very important one.
I hear you. And now Bill Russell grounded out twice and then hit a 3-1 pitch for a base hit in the 6th inning. Sachs at first with 2 out. Gossage ready and delivers. Russell takes a strike on the outside corner.
That one sounded hard.
0-1. Dusty Baker on deck. Now the strike 1 pitch. Russell backs off inside. 1-1. He wasn't quite sure where to go on that pitch.
Yeah, he threw him a breaking ball, which is, he doesn't throw many of those, and kind of surprised you a little. 1 ball, 1 strike. Gossage delivers. Sachs goes, and the pitch is popped up. Greg Nettles in foul ground, waiting, and makes the catch. And the Dodgers are down to their last 3 outs as they lead Sachs. At the end of 7 1/2, the Yankees won, the Dodgers nothing.
The 1980 Lake Placid Winter Olympics. Captain Mike Illusione's artistry on ice helped clinch the gold for the U.S. hockey team. Now Mike has been commissioned by Budweiser along with 5 other Olympic gold medalists to create a collection of paintings to help raise $1 million for our Olympic athletes.
I'm Mike Illusione. When Budweiser asked me to paint with my stick in a hockey puck, it sounded tougher than beating the Russians. But I said I'd give it a shot. Now by owning a signed, limited edition print or poster of my creation, the U.S. Olympic team will receive badly needed funds. And you'll see our athletes perform to their utmost abilities. After all, there are a lot of Picassos. But there's only one.
Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis.
If we were to tell you all the things you get when you buy a Buick Riviera, you might find it a little hard to believe.
An all-expense-paid vacation?
Not quite.
Well, then what?
Well, how about power windows, power seats, electric door locks, air conditioning, cruise control, automatic transmission with overdrive?
All that on one car?
Uh-huh, and more.
I couldn't be more impressed.
Bet you could. See the Riviera. It's unbelievable.
Wouldn't you really rather have a Buick?
In the bottom of the 8th inning, with the Yankees leading the Dodgers 1-0, 2 changes. Steve Sachs, who ran for Reggie Smith, who batted for Terry Forster. That's the number 9 slot in the lineup. Sachs stays in the game at second base and hits 9th. Steve Howe, coming into the ball game, will go in Davey Lope's leadoff spot. So Howe, the 3rd Dodger pitcher. That must be another tough thing if you're the manager. You've given up 1 unearned run and you're into your 3rd pitcher.
Yeah, that's awful tough, and you're down 1-0, like you said. You've only given up 3 hits for the night, and you're already into your 3rd pitcher.
Steve Howe has been a solid fixture in the Dodger bullpen, primarily a fastball pitcher, and he'll be pitching to Dave Winfield, Oscar Gamble, and Greg Nettles. And, of course, the only wonder is, will it be Gamble? Or would they go to a right-hand batter?
They'll go to a right-hander. They always do. Now, I'll be surprised if they send Oscar out there, but I guess without using the DH, they might not want to give up their strength yet because they have Jackson Piniella sitting on the bench in their head.
Dave Winfield will start it off. He hit into a force play, grounded to short, grounded to second. His ground ball to second was something to see, but Davey Lope fought it and threw him out. Mike Scioscia behind the plate. And Scioscia would hit in the number 8 slot. And here is Dave Winfield. So Howe checking, and Winfield 0 for 3. Steve into the windup and delivers inside. Ball 1, 1-0. When the Dodgers bat in the 9th inning, in case you're wondering, they have Dusty Baker, Steve Garvey, and then Ron Cey. Here's the 1-0 pitch on the way. Fastball popped up. Sachs going out, looking for help, and here comes Landro and Guerrero, and it's Landro.
The University of Michigan boy, Steve Howe. You know, we hear about him all the time back there.
Oh, I bet.
Because, you know, here's a University of Michigan boy, but he's an outstanding kid, and I was kidding with him last night when I got back to the hotel. I said, what did you have on Mr. Scully? He said, what do you mean? What did he say? I said, he says that every time you pitch, it's an important game.
Down in the Yankee dugout, Lou Piniella is stirring around. You might have heard the crowd in the background saying, Lou, Lou. And we expect Piniella, and here he comes. So Piniella will bat for Gamble and then stay in the ball game. And, of course, Piniella in last night's game started, doubled in the 1st inning, singled in a run in the 3rd. Wound up going 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run scored.
Number 14, Lou Piniella.
1 out. Bottom of the 8th inning, 1-0 Yankees. And Lou Piniella hitting for Gamble. And Steve Howe, a pretty tough act to follow because Bert Hooton went 6 innings plus, allowed 1 run. It was unearned. Hooton had to come out when he walked the first 2 batters in the 7th inning. Terry Forster came in. There was the sacrifice by Mercer. He walked Mumphrey intentionally and got Milburn to hit into a double play. And now Howe has come on to get Dave Winfield. So Piniella, the right-hand batter. Quite a favorite here, and Piniella taking plenty of time. Down in the Dodger bullpen, another kid who went to school in Michigan, Bobby Welch.
They let us know about him, too.
I bet they do. Fastball is hit foul off first base, slicing out of play upstairs, and the count 0-1.
You know, Benny, with all the good clubs the Dodgers have, though, I look back the last 10, 12 years, how many young kids they keep putting on their ball club. They keep putting good young players on their club.
0-1, the count to Lou Piniella. Howe into the windup, and the strike 1 pitch is down and in. 1 ball and 1 strike. The Yankees leading the Dodgers 1-0. For the Dodgers, a bleak outlook if they lose this one, because they then have to win 3 straight just to stay alive. Here's the 1-1 pitch on the way. Howe's fastball is hit foul off first down the line. Piniella looks like he's a little stiff. He backs out and takes a walk. Of course, that's so tough to come off the bench and somebody's giving you a little smoke.
Yeah, especially the kind of smoke this kid brings. He's got a real good fastball.
So Piniella, crouching, then standing up, arched his back, put the bat behind his back, trying to get the muscles ready. 1-2 the count. Of course, I wonder, too, sometimes if pinch hitters don't do that, just to kind of con you into not throwing a breaking ball.
It's the old fake game.
Yeah. 1-2 the count to Lou Piniella. You can hear the Lou in the background. Now into the windup. The left-hander deals, and it's hit into center field. Base hit. So, Steve Howe, do you think he was fooled, Sparky?
Well, I tell you, he was fooled a little, but anything that gets up to Lou, he takes it. That's why the man has really become such a good hitter. The older he gets, he just takes that ball and hits it the other way. Boy, if we could only get our young guys to learn that, what these guys have all know.
They're going to have a runner at first base for Piniella. Downtown Brown?
Bobby Brown.
So Brown running for Piniella.
Your attention, please. Ladies and gentlemen.
Bottom of the 8th inning with the Yankees leading 1-0.
Number 13, Bobby Brown.
So Brown is at first, and the batter is Greg Nettles. Struck out, single to left, and fly to right. Nettles 1 for 3. One away. Howe on the rubber. A look over at Brown. Steve at the belt and delivers, and the fastball is fouled upstairs, directly behind home plate, and the count 0-1.
You know, Benny, you were saying that the Dodgers lose this ball game, it's going to be awful tough. That to the outsiders, not to me for one reason. You know, I spent 9 years playing against them. I ain't never found a Dodger club that ever kicked back.
I know what you mean.
They get tougher when they're down, to me.
Well, they better get tough because they're down. Howe ready. A look over at first, and the strike one pitch to Nettles is foul back. 0-2. To repeat in the 9th inning, the Dodgers with their backs to the wall. And they'll have Dusty Baker, followed by Steve Garvey, and then Ron Say. Bobby Brown running at first for Lou Piniella, who singled for Oscar Gamble. And Greg Nettles at the plate, 0-2. Bob Watson, the first baseman, on deck. The only run, a hard ground ball that got away from Lopes, who was charged with an arrow. The thing was really sizzling. And with 2 out, Larry Milburn doubled in the run. There's a check swing, looper to center. Here comes Lando. It's a base hit. And doesn't that drive you crazy? If you've been hitting line drives that are caught and the opposition has a check swing for a single.
And Tommy's coming out now. He's probably coming out to tell the kid, look, just settle down. But he does have Watson coming up. He's going to probably go to a right-hander. But that's what you call an excuse-me swing.
So Greg Nettles trying to check up, hit a dunker to center, and of course one of the oldest baseball expressions in history, it'll look like a line drive in the box score. So Lasorda and Socia and Howe, and down in the bullpen, Dave Stewart and Bob Welch. I would guess they'll bring in Welch in this spot. Remains to be seen. Winfield fly to center, Piniella single to center. Was the count on Piniella 0-2?
Yeah, got that ball.
0-2 breaking ball after we were talking about Piniella acting like I just can't get loose. I just can't get around
That's
on the
that
ball.
good old fake.
So he went for it, threw him the breaking ball, base hit. Now on a check swing base hit, the Dodgers find themselves even in more trouble, and they're going to go to Dave Stewart, which is, to me, a little bit of a surprise. Stewart has certainly not been as effective as Welch, but he did pitch well, as you pointed out last night. He had a good live arm last evening.
He's got a super live arm.
So Watson and Cerrone are back-to-back with runners at first and second, 1 out, bottom of the 8th. Yankees 1, Dodgers nothing. And while Dave Stewart comes walking in from the bullpen, he disdains the car. He shall do it on his own. While he gets in to warm up, let's pause for this.
Hi, sports fans. Kurt Gowdy here for CBS Radio Sports, inviting you to join me weeknights for Kurt Gowdy on Sports. I'll have comments on the current sports scene, bring you timely reports, and preview upcoming events. I think you'll enjoy my inside look at the sports world. So join me for Kurt Gowdy on Sports, Monday through Friday on most of these CBS Radio Network stations. Hear it here.
Here Here in the 8th inning, Dave Stewart has just reached the shortstop area of Yankee Stadium on his way to the mound, and Steve Howe, a rather disappointed left-hander, will come out with the Yankees leading 1-0 and trying to build up a little extra for the Goose. I was just wondering, in watching Stewart walk in, when you bring a pitcher in from the Detroit bullpen, do you motor him in, or does he walk in? What is the Detroit scheme of things, Spark?
No, ours right down the left field line. In fact, just off of the line, not far behind third base. In fact, we have to have, like Cincinnati, the same way it's set up in Cincinnati, we have to have the bodyguard, and sometimes we need 3 bodyguards because they're drilling that ball pretty good down there.
I was thinking of Stewart, and I'm sure one of the things, he didn't want to be motored in because he wanted to use the walk to really think about things. Who's the hitter? How many outs? What I have to do? How do they tell me I should pitch to Watson, etc.?
You know what I was thinking, Benny? He wants to spend as much time on the air as he can. Let him talk about me a long time.
And also, of course, he's a young fella, and he's probably twisting and turning just a little bit. For Dave Stewart, no record in postseason play, and Dave will inherit quite a load here. First and second, 1 out, and Bob Watson, the batter. There are all kinds of numbers we could give you about Stewart. In fact, if anything, they'd drown you in statistics. But it is a World Series game, and it doesn't mean anything. What he did against Houston and Pittsburgh and St. Louis, Chicago, what's he going to do against the Yankees in the World Series?
That's right, Benny. He wants to forget those first 2 losses against Houston anyway down there in the Dome.
Stewart, in the 8th inning last night, walked Nettles, got Cerrone on a fly ball, and got Milburn to hit into a double play. So he got his feet wet last night, and now he comes in with 2 on, 1 out, bottom of the 8th, and the Yankees leading the Dodgers 1-0. Watson singled to right, hit into a force play, lost a hit on a good play by Bill Russell, and then you remember he made a good play on the collision with Yeager, holding on the ball for the 3rd out. Stewart ready, delivers. Fastball inside, ball 1.
Boy, he's got that good live arm, though.
1-0. We mentioned last night, they call him Vegas because they tell us he's a bad card player, which is, I guess, like calling a little guy big and vice versa. Here's the 1-0 pitch on the way. Stewart delivers, ground ball to the hole, through into left field, base hit. Here's Brown around third. He will score easily, and it is 2-0 New York.
Bobby Watson's just having a great first 2 games. He's just hitting the ball super. He's hitting it to right center. He's pulling it. He's doing about everything that you can ask a man to do with the bat, Ben.
He sure is. Bobby Watson with a 3-run home run last night and a single. And he has a single to right and a single to left and an RBI tonight. The run is charged to Howe. The hit is charged to Stewart. And, of course, the Dodgers struggling all night, couldn't get 1. And now with only 3 outs left of them, they need at least 2. Russell diving at the ball, but he still couldn't come close. And the batter now is Rick Cerrone. Cerrone flied to right, hit into a force play, and walked. The catcher 0 for 2. The Dodger infield in double play depth. Nettle and Watson on the pads, and a throw is in the dirt, gets away from Russell, and the runners are going to move up by the time Sachs retrieves it. Bad throw by Dave Stewart. He'll draw the error.
You know, you have to remember here, the Dodgers come into this series in Yankee Stadium. They've got young pitchers like Howe, Stewart, Miedenbach, and yet these kids, by getting out here in this front of all this, are going to be a heck of a long way ahead next year.
Yeah, it'll pay dividends next year, but of course that's been a battle cry for the Dodgers for a long time. Wait till next year. The runners at second and third. Now let's see, they put Cerrone aboard, of course, and in a moment Willie Randolph will be coming up. So the error charged to Dave Stewart. It is the second Dodger error. And in a moment, the bases will be loaded with 1 out. And the Yankees leading 2-0, trying to tear it open. With Gossage pitching, 2 would seem like a lot. 3 would seem like Mount Everest.
Yeah, 3 gets totally out of hand. Believe me, you lose your faith over in the other dugout.
So in a moment, Rick Cerrone getting 4 wide ones to load him up. Cerrone at first, Watson at second, Nettles at third, Willie Randolph the batter. Randolph hit into a force play, slashed that ball at Lopes. They ruled it an error. And then last time up, he walked. So Willie Randolph, the batter. Randolph has never been a strikeout hitter. In fact, this year, he struck out less than 10% of the time. So they have a good man up there. He makes contact. With the bases loaded, 1 out, the Dodgers have to pull up the corners. Sachs and Russell, however, play back. And Russell is going to work as he watches Stewart from a stretch with a breaking ball low. Ball 1. Alejandro Pena is now throwing. And I have a feeling now why they didn't bring in Bob Welch, and they haven't announced their 4th game pitcher yet.
You're probably right, Benny. They probably didn't want to use him up as long as they're behind, and they'll probably start him.
Here's the 1-0 pitch on the way to Willie Randolph. Lifted to right field and plenty deep. Back to the track goes Guerrero to make the catch. Tagging at third is Nettles to score, and it is 3-0 Yankees. Hit, or actually scoring fly ball, brings in the run charged to Howe. So Steve Howe is charged with the 2 runs here in the 8th inning. And Goose Gossage coming up with 2 on, 2 out, and 2 in the bank. Dave Stewart out of a stretch and delivers. Fastball swung on and missed. Gossage took a pretty good rip at that thing.
Yeah, you remember he used to swing that bat pretty good over at Pittsburgh.
I didn't know he had that good a memory.
Oh, you better remember those guys.
0-1 to count. Stewart again ready, and the strike 1 pitch swung on and missed. Strike 2. He's going to get heat. So here in the inning with 1 out, Piniella single to center. Nettles on a check swing got a single. Watson in single to left to score Brown, who ran for Piniella. They walked Cerrone intentionally after the pickoff error by Stewart, and the fly ball by Randolph got the 2nd run home as Gossage strikes out. However, 2 big runs for the Yankees, 3 hits and an error. And at the end of 8, Yankees 3, Dodgers nothing.
How many insurance companies and agents do you deal with? Having one State Farm agent can make things a lot simpler. One State Farm agent can take care of your life, health, home, and car insurance. And you can call that one agent whenever you have a question or claim. For a good price and good neighbor service on all your family insurance, see the State Farm agent near you. And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
A lot of people are drinking V8 juice these days. What about you?
I drink it when I get up in the morning.
How come you drink V8 in the morning?
If I get up at 5:30 and you need something that's gonna... Hello, how are you? This is today, and you have to go to work, so you better wake up. It's a great taste, and it's good.
Well, it's very refreshing for breakfast.
The flavor of V8 juice is one of those kind of things that when you wake up in the morning, you know it's going to be a good day. I feel like I'm doing something healthy for myself.
That's why so many people are saying,
wow, I'm going to have a V8.
It has been said that baseball is the true expression of the American spirit. Charles Kuralt, CBS News correspondent, observer of the American scene, and certainly a favorite of mine, and I'm sure of yours, captured the sense of this American spirit when he wrote these words, and I quote, "Travel the land and gaze at vacant lots. Nothing has changed. 9-year-olds still take mighty practice swings, holding the bat at the very end. For to choke up on the handle is to admit that you are not yet a man." End of quote. Baseball fever. Catch it. It's worth it. The preceding message furnished by Major League Baseball. In the 9th inning, it is a dispirited and somewhat downcast Dodger ball club with Bobby Brown in right field for the Yankees, Dusty Baker, Steve Garvey, and Ron Cey. Baker had a single and a scoring fly ball last night. He is 0 for 3 tonight. And Goose Gossage delivers. Fastball for a strike. 0-1.
We're going to come right after him now, Ben. We got to waste no time.
3 runs, 6 hits, and 1 error for the Yankees. No runs, 4 hits, 2 errors for the Dodgers, who are on the edge of losing their 6th in a row at Yankee Stadium. A breaking ball low, 1-1. Gossage comes back 1-1, and the fastball is popped foul, out of play. And I was just thinking how many times in 1981 the Dodgers were down and apparently beaten, and they hand the ball to the 20-year-old Valenzuela. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Baker. Half swing and a slow roller down to Bob Watson. And Baker was completely tied up on that pitch.
Yeah, he's right now he's bringing it pretty good. And he threw him one little breaking ball to tease him a little, and then he's just bringing that good old hard-fashioned fastball.
Well, here's Steve Garvey, but there will not be nearly the drama of the meeting tonight that there was last night. You remember, the Dodgers had it 5-3. They had a runner in scoring position. Garvey and Gossett squared away. Garvey looked like he won the duel. He hit a bullet, and there was that absolutely amazing stop by Greg Nettles. A pitch to Garvey inside, ball 1. Garvey tonight tried to bunt in the second inning and was thrown out. He singled to center in the 5th, singled to left in the 7th. He went 2 for 3 against Tommy John. But the Dodgers have only 4 hits, no runs. And the pitch inside, ball 2. 2-0 the count. Now the 2-0 pitch on the way. Garvey takes a strike, and the count 2-1. Scoreboard has it backwards. It's 2 balls and 1 strike. As Gossett's ready and delivers, and Garvey fouls it away. And the count 2-2.
They like to get carried away here. They figure the goose is supposed to be ahead.
They just leave 2 strikes up there. 1 out in the 9th inning. The Dodgers faced with the prospect of losing the first 2 games in the World Series here at Yankee Stadium. The 2-2 pitch. Garvey ducks, and it's inside, ball 3. On deck, Ron Cey, who is 0 for 3. You take the Dodgers number 3, 4, 5, and 6 hitters. They have 1 hit amongst them. Here's the pitch to Garvey. Inside, hit the bat, and goes to the backstop. The Yankees scored an unearned run in the 5th and 2 in the 8th. And the Dodgers had runners at 1st and 3rd with 1 out in the 5th. That's the closest they have come to this game tonight. The 3-2 pitch, and Garvey takes way in the dirt all the way to the backstop for ball 4. Garvey going to 1st and holding. And the batter will be Ron Cey. That is the first and only walk given to the Dodgers tonight. And now Ron Cey, the batter, with Pedro Guerrero on deck. Cey twice grounded to 3rd, and last time up, hit a fly ball to deep right. Gamble caught it on the track. Remember, Bobby Brown is out there now. So 1 on, 1 out, 9th inning. Yankees 3, Dodgers nothing. And Gossett checking with Rick Cerrone. The right-hander ready. Comes to Cey, turned him around. Ball 1.
You know, he's got to be careful here. He don't walk another man. He walks another one, then he brings up that tie and run again.
1-0 the count. No one throwing in the Yankee bullpen. Gossett leaning on his left knee. Now he's ready. And the 1-0 pitch, Cey takes a strike as if he was going to bunt.
With nobody warming up, Benny, I think it gives us a good feeling that they're going to win or lose with it.
It looks that way. Here's the ball, get him. The 1-1 pitch to Cey. Fastball fouled away off to the left out of play. 1-2. I guess sometimes you feel too strong if you're well rested. That might be part of Gossett's problem.
Well, yeah, I always found out one thing. If you're not doing well, that's part of the problem. If you're doing real well, you know, it just depends on what the situation is.
1-2, the count to Ron Cey. And Gossett's deals. Breaking ball got him looking. Oh, what a mean pitch.
That would have got everybody looking. Because who's thinking he's going to throw him a breaking ball?
Oh, what a pitch by Gossett. And that is his 2nd strikeout. And the batter is Pedro Guerrero. Grounded to short, was aboard on the error by Milburn, and then lined out to short. So he's playing pepper with Larry Milburn. Gossett's ready and delivers, and it's low, ball 1, 1-0. The Yankees are 1 out away from taking a commanding 2-0 lead in the 1981 World Series. Now the 1-0 pitch to Guerrero. In there for a strike. 1-1. The Dodgers will fly all night. They wouldn't sleep anyway, so they might as well fly home. And then Friday night, Fernando Valenzuela and Dave Righetti. Only the 2nd time in 78 World Series that 2 rookies will oppose each other. Here's the 1-1 pitch to Guerrero. Inside. Ball 2, 2-1. That'll be 8:10 Eastern Time from Dodger Stadium Friday on most of these same stations. Game 3. Guerrero waiting. Kenny Landreau on deck, and the 2-1 pitch. Guerrero fouls it away, and the Dodgers now have almost spent it all. They're down to their last strike, And, of course, this crowd wants the Goose to finish with a flourish. They're on their feet at Yankee Stadium. 56,505, all hollering Goose. So it's poultry night at Yankee Stadium.
Doesn't seem fair, Vinny. Throw that hard and have all those people yelling.
2-2. Fastball got him looking. So Goose Gossage, who struck out Say with a breaking ball, came back to strike out Guerrero looking with the fastball. The second game of the 1981 World Series is now history. The final score, the Yankees 3, the Dodgers nothing.
Looking for an early Christmas present? How about an 81 Skylark? Your participating Buick dealer is rolling back interest rates on car loans for all new 81 Skylarks delivered through November 11th to a 12.9% annual percentage rate for qualified retail buyers. Buick has also made it possible for your dealer to offer additional savings. See your Buick dealer for details. At 12.9% financing, a Skylark is the perfect gift. But don't try to hide it under the bed. Someone's bound to see it.
There's a man in San Francisco who gets paid to put people in jail. Shannon, a New York cop starting over in San Francisco. And it's all uphill. Shannon. Kevin Dodson is Shannon. One way or the other, he'll get you. Watch it on CBS TV. Shannon, Wednesday at 10, 9 Central and Mountain on CBS Television.
The totals on the ball game. For the Yankees, 3 runs, 6 hits, and 1 error. For the Dodgers, no runs, 4 hits, and 2 errors. Tommy John, a magnificent 7, and Goose Gossage wrapped up the last 2 innings, allowing a base hit and a walk while striking out 3. So John is 2-1 in World Series, and it's the first time as a Yankee he beat the Dodgers. Meanwhile, Hooton, Forster, Howe, and Stewart, and Bert Hooton, who allowed only an unearned run, suffers the heartbreaking loss. So Hooton lifetime is 2-3 in the World Series, and of course all 5 decisions against the Yankees. Sparky-Anderson, your thoughts?
Well, I thought tonight's ball game was a question of the Yankees getting some breaks, Vinny. Dodgers hit some balls very good. They were at people. Nettles hit a excuse-me swing. Not that that doesn't happen in baseball, it does. But that ball falls in. They end up getting 2 runs in the 8th. Tough break. The bounce that Davey had to handle was ruled an error, but an awful shot to be hit at you. And they got another run. So I thought the ball game tonight was a very even game. Tommy John and I thought Gossage, both of them combined, just pitched super.
Frank Sinatra singing the great battle cry, New York, New York. And it should be duly noted that Frank, with all those inspiring lyrics about he wants to be in a city that never sleeps, he lives in Palm Springs, California. That should be duly noted in the minutes of the last meeting here at Yankee Stadium in New York. A reminder, Friday night, the kids go. The great young left-handers, Fernando Valenzuela for the Dodgers, Dave Righetti for the Yankees, and Sparky, I'll tell you one thing, it will be a Mexican fiesta at Dodger Stadium Friday night. It's something I'm sure you have never seen before in all your years in baseball.
Well, he's a great one. I had the pleasure of seeing him one time and then seeing him on TV a couple times, but I want to warn the Dodger people of one thing. They're going to see an outstanding young pitcher in Righetti. He's just a great, great young left-hander.
They're down 2-0. You could warn them with Billy Barty was pitching.
Well, no, I'll tell you what. Tommy will tell him going home, look, we got him right where we want him.
That's it. We had to lose 2 because a split isn't good enough.
That's right.
We'll continue in just a moment.
When it comes to quality lawn and garden tools, True Temper is a name you can trust. And trust True Value Hardware stores to offer the True Temper tools you need for fall at value prices. Hi, Pat Summerall to say the long-handled round point shovel features a high carbon steel blade and rolled shoulders for easier digging. And you can prune shrubbery easily with True Temper's anvil-type pruner with sharp, polished upper-cutting blade. Get these quality True Temper tools now for just $6.44 each at participating True Value Hardware stores and home centers.
If you say no to McDonald's $15 million You Deserve a Break Today game, naughty, naughty. These lucky people said yes, and here's what they won.
Betty Larson of Morris won $100. Local Watson III of Chicago got a break and won $100. And Christy Van Kranel of Northbrook got a big break and won $1,000.
at McDonald's.
No purchase required. At least 16 to play. Void where prohibited. Ends November 29th or while supplies last. Details at McDonald's.
The 1981 World Series can very well be wrapped up this way so far. The Yankees are halfway home, and the Dodgers are going home, desperate, because they have to win 3 straight from an excellent Yankee ball club just to stay alive to come back to New York.
Well, it's 2 good ball clubs, though, and the Dodgers were down 2 games to none to a good Houston ball club, an excellent pitching that Houston had, and they come back and won. They were down 2 games to 1 to an excellent Montreal ball club, and they came back and won. So until the Yankees get 4 wins, I still believe this is going to be just an outstanding series.
Well, I tell you what, for Sparky Anderson, this is Vin Scully. Thanks for the use of the hall. We'll be talking to you Friday from Dodger Stadium. And now let's go down to the field. So take it away, Win Elliott.
And, Vinny, there's a very good friend of yours sitting around here smirking a little because he's an old friend of yours. You've been calling him TJ all night. What do you call him, Tommy John?
Well, Vinny's a friend of mine, so I call him Vinny. Absolutely. Mr. Scully.
What could be more natural? Tommy, those first 5 innings, you were just magnificent. 9 out of the first 12 batters hit the ball on the ground. What were you doing?
Well, I was just throwing my game. I was trying to, I was trying to get ahead with my breaking ball and then throw my fastball away. And unfortunately, I was making some good pitches when I had to, and we made some great plays.
We were wondering up in the booth whether the rest that you had was working in your favor or against you.
Well, I don't like to pitch. I like to pitch every 4 days. I feel I pitch better with 3 days rest. I don't throw the ball as hard, but I have a little better control and a little better movement on the ball, and I'm a placement movement guy, and for me, an 86-mile-an-hour fastball is trouble.
You know, we were bugging you before the game. The fact that you knew the Dodgers so well and vice versa, they knew you. You said it didn't make any difference, and evidently...
No, it doesn't. If I would have thrown the ball poorly, those guys would have hit the ball. But I came up and I threw the ball well, and I got a great offensive ball club out. And people say, what's it like? And I tell you, it's you're out there pitching against a bunch of your friends because all those guys are my friends.
Let's pause for 5 seconds for station identification right now on the CBS Radio Network.
This is your Chicago Bears station, Sports Radio 78, WBDM Chicago.
Tommy, Vinny, who knows you so well, told us tonight that one of your very best friends plays first base for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Absolutely. Garv and I, he's one of my best, and actually, my roommate with the Dodgers was the pitcher out there tonight. Bert and I, Bert had it in his contract with the Dodgers that if I ever left the club that he got a single room, but as long as I was with the Dodgers, Bert and I would room together. And Bert and Ginger and Sally and I are the best of friends, and all those guys. It was like a homecoming last night. I got to see a lot of the wives and Al Campanis and Tommy and all the guys, and it's great.
All right, I don't want to ruin your friendship, but Steve Kirsch has a piece of tape ready. The first batter in the 5th inning, you'd set them down 4 straight innings, 12 in a row, and up comes this guy. Go ahead, Steve.
Tommy John into the windup, and the first pitch to Garvey is a ground ball to the left of Milbourne and on through into left center field, and that breaks it. After retiring...
And so went your dreams of a no-hitter or even a perfect game?
No, my dreams of a no-hitter and a perfect game were left in the bullpen when I warmed up. I'm a realist. Maybe a Righetti or a Guidry might throw one, but Tommy John, I throw the ball over the plate too often. They hit the ball too often from me, and for me giving up 3 hits in 7 innings is very, very good. Usually I give up about a hit per inning.
Tom, we're going to let you hear maybe your greatest moment of the game this evening after we pause for this word.
Time. Time is very important to Joseph Wagner, master craftsman of York Furrier. He sits at his work table and thinks of the time he spent here. Good time. Satisfying time. 50 years of time. Time with the precious furs of York. creating, crafting, inching ever closer to the perfection he dreams of. Time to teach, to bring the young craftsmen to the point where they too will find satisfaction, to somehow teach them the care and love they'll need to carry on the York tradition. The tradition has meant so much to the Wagner family. Joseph Wagner smiles. Yes, it's been a good time, and tomorrow will be even better.
York Furrier, 107 North York Road, Elmhurst. For a half-century, master craftsmen doing what they do best.
Tommy John. Tommy in that fifth inning. Garvey is just singled. Then there's the fielder's choice. You know, we went to the shortstop who tried to play at third. Your buddy got his back in the way of the throw. You got men on first and third. There's a following out, and then that big catcher comes up. You know him pretty well.
Absolutely. Steve called a lot of my good games with the Dodgers, and I thought when I threw the ball, I thought I had a good chance for a strikeout, and I threw him a forkball, a split-fingered fastball, and Yang hit it.
Did he?
Yeah.
You listen now and see exactly what he did. The forkball from Tommy John, and
Tommy John ready and delivers. And it's a line drive off John's glove. He picks it up, throws to first, throws to Watson. There's a collision, and Yeager is out, and Watson is on his knees.
You didn't even have time to think, did you?
Well, no. That was a reaction play, and the ball was actually by me. I just stuck my glove up and hoped that I could knock it down and maybe keep it on the infield and knock it to an infielder. I mean, it was just a reaction play. And when Steve hit Watson, I told him after the inning was over, I said, Yang, I said, the Rams could use a guy like you out there like that.
So you held him to no runs, and this guy sitting to my right here, your shortstop, Larry Milburn, he came up when it looked like nobody was going to score a run all night. Larry, can you hear through the earphones? Okay, there's a guy on second base. You're up. You're facing Bert Hooton. Here comes the pitch, Larry, and live it again.
Here's the 3-2 pitch to Milburn. Hooton ready, delivers, and it's a line drive down the left field line, base hit. Here comes Randolph to score. Into second base goes Milburn. 1-0 Yankees.
Larry, it seemed to me that you just reached out and timed and just stroked that ball on the left field.
Yeah, the count was 3-2 in that situation. I actually was looking for a fastball, and he had threw me a knuckle curve before that really went down, but this one stayed up. I had a chance to see it, and I reacted and hit the ball left field.
And so the one run, actually, that was enough to win the entire ball game.
Yeah, I know I came up again in a situation with the bases loaded. I wanted to come through again, but Forster made a good pitch, and I ended up hitting a double play. But, we scored 2 runs in the 8th inning that added, gave us some insurance, so it worked out well.
Larry, thanks very much for stopping by. And our thanks to you, too, Tom. Want to say hello to L.A.?
Oh, well, I'll see him out there, and I hope that there's enough tickets to go around.
Vin tells me you're flying all night.
No, we're leaving tomorrow morning. George has chartered a DC-10 for us, and we're going to leave tomorrow about 10 o'clock and get in about noon, 12:30, land at Long Beach Airport, and then we're going to work out at 3 o'clock, and then I'm going out and try the restaurants out.
And I bet a lot of friends will be there to meet you.
I hope so.
Tommy, thank you very much.
Thank you, Winston.
Right on. Okay, let's pause for this word.
Hi, Pat Summerall is something you'll be able to press into service anytime. It's the Aladdin Pump-A-Drink Dispenser from True Value Hardware Stores. Just press the top of this vacuum-insulated container for a steady stream of your favorite refresher. Steaming hot coffee and icy cold drinks will stay at serving temperature for hours. This 1-quart dispenser is attractively designed, so it's ideal for buffet serving. You'll find that the Aladdin Pump-A-Drink Dispenser from True Value Hardware Stores is especially convenient at sporting events and other outdoor activities. It's compact and lightweight and comes with a carrying handle so you can take it along on trips for no-spill dispensing. With the Aladdin Pump-A-Drink Dispenser at your service, you can have drinks anytime. It's available now at participating True Value Hardware Stores and home centers. And get the current edition of my 4-part, full-color, all-time great Sports Stars collection free with any $10 or more purchase while supplies last at participating True Value Hardware Stores and home centers, where you'll find values in every department.
The second game here at the Yankee Stadium, a pitcher's battle. I know that's a cliche, but it was between Hooton and John. They both pitched magnificent ball. The one breakthrough in that 5th inning, the error by Lopes, if it was an error, and then the well-placed double down left field line by Milburn. The quick reactions of the cat like John as he speared or stopped Yeager's line drive with men in scoring position in the earlier part of that inning for the Dodgers, and then the Yankees breaking through with Piniella and a check swing by Nettles, and Watson, who is enjoying his second childhood, maybe not that, but it's certainly the youth the second time around, hits the ball through the infield. Anyway, the Yankees come up the big winners 3-0. They are the more persistent. Their defense has been magnificent. The Dodgers have tried, but they have been thwarted both by the Yankee pitching staff and a little lady by the name of Luck. So, we travel tomorrow. We head for Los Angeles on Friday, and who knows? CBS Radio Sports has been happy to bring you this, the second game of the 1981 World Series. Today's broadcast has been sponsored by State Farm Insurance, Budweiser, Wells Lamont Gloves, Service Star Hardware Stores, and by Delco Electronics. Our production assistant here at Yankee Stadium was John Gallagher. Our CBS radio engineers were Steve Kirsch and Henry Lenz. Our producer, Dave Kerman. Frank Miller is the executive producer for CBS Radio Sports. So, join us again. That's Friday, 8:10 Eastern Time, Game 3 of the 1981 World Series. And once again, here in Game 2 at Yankee Stadium, the final score was the Yankees 3 and the Dodgers 0. Along with Vin Scully and Sparky Anderson, I'm Win Elliott, and from Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, New York, let's say so long for CBS Radio Sports.
Because October is National